14th, 2022. We'll take a moment of silence followed by a prayer from Commissioner Dickerson.
Our Father, we thank you for this time and this season. We thank you for this meeting today, just to be alive. Lord, we pray that you bless this meeting today concerning the Brunswick Housing Authority. Bless our city, bless the leadership here, staff, commissioners. And I pray that we come today to accomplish the business at hand, love, unity, and healing. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen.
All right, I will entertain a motion to accept and adopt the amendment. That's to accept and adopt the amendment.
I have a motion that we accept the agenda with amendments.
Okay. Come back to the amendment.
Okay, we'll accept the agenda. I make a motion that we accept the agenda.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Dickerson to accept and adopt the agenda, seconded by Commissioner Dobson. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Dickerson, this is what you do.
Okay. Yes. Yes, we need to, I know we need to make the first amendment is do my research and my heart. I believe we should add to the agenda today a motion to approve Resident Commissioner Dobson to receive $200 stipend. And this is through my research and understand that he's legal. So I'd like to add that to the agenda today.
Any other amendments at this point?
President.
So I agree with Ms.
President.
Oh, okay.
Also, under number one, under approvals needed, approval for William Baker to become executive director. That is a misprint. I believe that we go into negotiations next month for his contract, so that needs to be removed. Does anyone have an issue with that? So we gotta scratch number one under approvals needed. Here, before we begin delegations, we're going to have staff reports. We'll call that 1A. So we have staff reports, removal of the approval for William Baker. Number 4 under approvals needed will be Resident Commissioner Dobson stipend, and number 5 will be HUD batch. Are there any other additions or amendments to the agenda? Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Dickerson to amend the agenda with those amendments. Do we have a second? Seconded by Commissioner Dobson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, have the same. That motion passes, so we have to go back to the initial motion, which was to accept and adopt the agenda by Commissioner Dickerson, seconded by Commissioner Dobson. All those, any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, have the same. That motion passes unanimously. Interim Executive Director Baker, you wanted to have the staff give a few reports.
Yes, sir. We want to start our report out today through foundational decor. We want to start first with our maintenance. Is Mr. Lee available? Yeah, because he would have to leave to get to finish repair.
Over the past 60 days, that's something I know. The maintenance department at Brunswick Housing Authority has been quite busy. We have submitted all necessary documentation for the Brunswick Housing Authority to participate in the Georgia Home Efficiency Program. We have secured contracts to remodel 9 vacant units. And in-house, we have pretty much 60% completed 50 Hopkins homes. This is what it was like before. And this is what it currently looks like. These remodeled units from the contractors, as well as this one, will serve as model units for what we want for the housing authority moving forward. And there's that.
Can you replay that for anyone?
Can you show me, I'm sorry.
Look at the before.
Can you go back to the before? This is the before?
That's before.
This is before, after the resident moved, that's after the resident moved out? So this is what it looked like after the resident moved out?
Yes, sir.
And what does it look like? I'm sorry. What does it look like now?
And this is current.
I like that backsplash. Okay.
We have also renovated office space within the KPAC office for the Director of Security. We have identified a few issues from past REACT inspections that have cost us valuable points on those inspections, and we've implemented a plan to address those issues. 5, we are replacing the TMP discharge plumbing on the water heaters in some units, and also trying to address some of the brickwork on the exterior of the buildings. And at that same time, we kind of dual purposing that, doing half-lifts at the same time in the units, just so that all of the time going into the units is not wasted. As a group in that time frame, we have completed 1,130 work orders. For, on average, we have 3 maintenance guys.
Is that in addition to the preventative maintenance?
No, sir.
That's included.
That's
1,100
included in
reports.
preventative maintenance, all that.
Okay.
But we are happy to announce that here recently we have hired 2 additional maintenance personnel, and hopefully that'll help us get things going a little bit better. As always, we're glad to be here day to day when we come, and we'll continue to work hard and be vigilant in our efforts.
We did, replace the floors and the backsplash, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Originally, weren't we supposed to do the cabinets too?
Those cabinets in Hopkins have recently been redone about a year ago.
And where are the 9 vacant units? How many vacant units are there in all 6 communities?
36.
How many in each community?
3 in Abbott Andrews, 2 in Hopkins Homes, 1 in Hopkins Homes Annex, 1, 2, 3, 4 McIntyre Court, 1, 2, 3, 4 Mercer, Alabama, and I'm doing this off the top of my head.
Can you?
11 in Glenville.
I'm not sure, will you be okay if he emails you those exact numbers?
No. Okay, so as y'all doing this, every month you get out, I ask for a maintenance report. You said there's 1,100 work orders that y'all completed. But I asked for many times, I wanted a monthly work order of what needed to repair, when it got repaired, and if it isn't repaired, just a small synopsis of why it hasn't been repaired. And that's the monthly maintenance report that I can keep up, or any other commissioner can, to see how we moving forward and completing work orders.
Okay, the report that I can generate for you would look like essentially an 1,100-page book.
What we do, we're working with IT, we're bringing in some, looking at other programs to allow us to generate those type of report commission data. That's a concern for us, we need some more pertinent information so we may move forward. So we are working diligently with IT now. We need the contractor to be in here, I believe next week, to start to show us how to, what programs are available. We're also looking to send our IT team to Augusta. The system comes from Reckless Guide. The system that we have, we may be able to generate some of those reports. We just have not been trained, have not been exposed to that process. So we are looking into that versus going through a 6 month process of converting. So we're trying to get as much out of this system as we possibly can. But we want to make sure that as much information that we can give that will meet your qualifications. I'm asking those same questions here today. What are the existing maintenance work orders? What are our issues? And what can we do to resolve those issues? So to generalize this, the vacancies are increased because we have decided from an administrative standpoint that our residents deserve a quality, health, and safe environment. They should be able to walk into their units, or I should be able to walk into a unit and not want to leave. And right now, there are not any units in our houses that I would want to live in. So we're coming with a different approach, and we're asking for a waiver so we can put capital funds into these units and bring them up to standard. So what you're seeing in those models are what we're going to present to the hood. Say this is where we are, and this is where we want to go without complete teardown. And so we do have a plan and a process that we have to go through. We have contact with them, and they will be here once we get these units. So then we're hoping to have a unit available by the 26th in order to sit here, so it won't ding us on our reactive force. So they'll see what we're doing.
Okay.
And so we have those concerns are still they're still present, but we are addressing them, and we're doing them as
So let me ask you this.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have a maintenance director? A maintenance
yes,
director?
ma'am. She's on scheduled vacation,
Okay, and so,
and this is the
I don't,
assistant director.
right, so, I don't know how y'all do it, but you have a site manager for each community, right?
Yes, well, not for each community. We're working on that. We have amps, but we're working on a management plan that each site will have a manager on this site, and so, but we're working on that right now. I think we have 3 managers, and we're getting away from that particular process. It's my philosophy that if we have a manager at each site, that manager would have more accountability, residents really know what's going on versus one manager over 3 properties,
right.
and you're not walking the property, you don't know really what's going on, you don't know the condition of the property. So
right.
our managers are doing the best that they can at this particular time, so we hope to implement that before the next board.
Okay, but, right, and I just want a simple things to keep up with the maintenance
ma'am.
of how they get approved, because it's basically just a box
Yeah.
and a column with a heading as they're going through.
Yes, ma'am.
If someone can track that as they're going through
Yes,
each
ma'am.
community.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that's a
Okay.
priority.
Mhm.
We don't know if that system will allow us to do it, but we are working toward that. If there's not anything else, thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Williams.
y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
You have more this morning?
Yeah, we have housing. Next up is housing.
Good morning.
Good
How is
morning.
everyone?
Good morning.
Thank you to the Board of Commissioners for allowing us to speak, and also Executive Director. Within the last 30 to 60 days, the Housing Department has been very busy, very productive, moving forward, identifying some areas of, concern with different partners that we have, but staying on top of those, and we can see some progression and changes, and definitely benefiting, the residents, the children, and all those in the community. We are currently working on rebuilding our relationship with the community health clinic, which is has a lot of resources to provide to the residents, but also to include intern programs for our residents, like in the medical field area. Currently, the Section 8 department has issued 25 vouchers since August 1st, so that's exciting. That allows 25 families to, move towards, a home. As of September 1st, we have scheduled 20 vouchers to be issued out. There will be a briefing held. We have 699 total on the Section 8 waiting list. Of that 699, 155 of those applicants are with preference. The remaining are with non-preference. The public housing waiting list, we currently have 1,224 on that list. As Mr. Williams stated, we have 36 vacant units, which I just take this opportunity to applaud maintenance for their diligence in getting these done, because it really is a huge turnaround. Currently we have 45 on the transfer list. These are 45 residents that currently reside in public housing that have expressed a need for whether it be medical necessity, a larger unit to help accommodate, their family. Also on the public housing waiting list, of those 1,224 people, 543 are what is waiting on the 1 bedroom. 2 bedroom is 366. The 3 bedroom is 239. 4 bedroom is 65, and 5 bedroom is 11. And these numbers represent the applicants that are on the waiting list that our admissions counselor, Ms. Davis, and Ms. Pierce, our Section 8 admissions counselor, are diligently working on, getting these applicants processed and, working towards certification. We also have some more exciting news to share with the partnership with Hand in Hand. These are the tiny homes that are located on Alabama Avenue. And are excited, just to move forward with this project with Hand in Hand, because this also allows the homeless community to not have to worry about a place to sleep. They'll be provided stable living environments, so their more focus can be on their health, or education, trainings, jobs, placement, stuff like that. So where I believe I'm very proud of the staff, and to move forward and keep doing great things.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Within the past 60 days, I have been promoted to the Assistant Director of Housing. I was afforded the opportunity to establish a strong relationship with the staff and residents here at the Brunswick Housing Authority, and realizing the importance of building a stronger and more trusting relationship. Along with the staff input, I created a resident questionnaire, so that allowed us as staff to be out on the property more, to get to know our residents more. And the questionnaire includes, but not limited to, questions, suggestions, concerns, any thoughts the residents might have. And since we've started the questionnaire, we have completed 76, questionnaire since mid-August. And it's basically just providing a better relationship. We have had a lot of residents, they're opening up more. They don't feel like they're just here. They feel more comfortable coming to talk to us. And so the question has also states resources as far as like child care. We let them know that we have child care assistance, scholarships, career opportunities, and educational advancements. And it has also allowed me to realize the significant need and importance of additional staff training. We have started the process of getting our staff trained more on the day-to-day job operations. And I have also obtained the job descriptions for each staff member in the housing department. So we are moving forward with training. And also we have expanded the Section 8 and public housing staff. We have expanded the admissions counselor position. We have a Section 8 waiting list admissions counselor, and we have also hired an HCV specialist, and we have also hired an assistant property manager, and we will be moving forward with those.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have a question from Madam Vice Chair.
Yeah. When you have these questionnaires with the residents, are any of them interested in coming to our monthly meetings? Because we need residents in our monthly meetings. And you doing this questionnaire, once the residents organize, will that go over to the resident organization, or will you continue to do those questionnaires? Because that's something that they can pick up and do.
Yes, ma'am. Will be, they can move forward with the resident, the questionnaires. They can,
That's,
the resident council, that's what I'm looking for. Yes.
And so are we still promoting that or advertising for them to come to these monthly meetings?
Yes.
Because I would like to see some of them in here.
yes,
Mhm.
Mr. Edwards. On the presentation.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know if y'all were, everybody's done. All right. Good morning, everybody. Mitch Edwards, the interim director of grants and procurement. My eyeballs down. Since coming on board in July 11th, I established contact with all the outside grant writers that were handling grants that were due at that time for the Housing Authority. Before midnight, July 18th, we submitted the HUD Residential Opportunity and Self-Sufficiency, also known as the ROSS grant. We got that in on time. There's a $325,000 ask on that one. By the 28th of July, we got in the HUD Jobs Plus Initiative grant, which would be a huge addition for us. There's a $3 billion ask on that one. And currently we're working on an additional HUD grant that dropped late, local collaborative funding opportunity, and other capital development and service delivery improvements for the whole housing authority.
Are you familiar with the grant that we're supposed to be getting for Abbott Andrews through Rachel Thompson?
That's Glen Environmental
Yes.
Group. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
She said something, do you have any information on that? Did we get approval of it? Did we get it? She said something.
That's one of
about-
those that's kind of in the balance. The first thing we had to do was get in a letter of introduction so that we could get invited to the table to ask for money. I worked with them closely, got all the information we needed, and packaged it up and sent that off. But because it's not It's not even on the table yet, I didn't mention it. But that's in process, it's in play. And by probably the next couple of weeks, they're gonna select the groups they're gonna allow to apply. We'll get that in by mid-October, and they're looking to award money by December 5th.
Is that grant solely for solar roofing, or what is that grant for? What is it, how is that gonna help us here?
Being environmental, and we're looking to do more efficient units and save our residents money, we're geared more toward, we selected to go with, we're gonna do a couple of model units on solar power and more efficient equipment in the units. And we're gonna use that as a model for moving forward and renovating and revitalizing. We're gonna see if it really works and see if we can implement that moving forward.
So, I have this question. If we're moving towards remodeling these communities, how much money are y'all gonna put into these communities?
That's out of mind.
That's still to be identified, because at some point we have, that's a threshold, that we cannot cross. It just, that threshold is that line where, if we put $30,000-$50,000 in each unit, it's better for us to, just, do a tear down and rebuild. And what we're looking at that is where our issue is right now, is that we don't have anywhere to transfer our residents right now. So we're looking at where can we build, where can we transfer our residents to, build them back up, and then transfer them back into this property. So we're talking into looking at home ownership opportunity, looking at certain avenues that we are exploring right now. But to give you a definite answer, Commissioner Bailey would be flawed on allowing community misinformation. We wouldn't do that. But we are working on that, and we welcome you to the table to come in. If you have some ideas, have some suggestions, we're looking to explore all avenues. But there are some units we do have a community which want to see in Brooklyn that we really don't have to pay that close attention. That we need to start transferring units out of Brooklyn Home. One of the plans is to take 30-50% out of vacant units and have that reserved for Brooklyn Home, because that is we start looking to demo in that property for their fees.
I have a question for Mr. Edwards. Can you give us just a little more information on what the Jobs Plus is?
Job Plus is kind of like a backbone for the Ross program that's going to come.
Okay.
Self-sufficiency for our residents is key, especially uplifting economic situations, job readiness, education, incorporating our child care providers so that the parents can free up to go get those services. But it's pretty much a service-based effort to collaborate with the self-sufficiency program that HUD is already running to kind of provide more work. That's WorkSource Georgia.
Okay.
It's one of our partners, their coastal unit here. It's already MOU and in the process. The STAR program is already on board. So yeah, that's just going to be trying to provide more economic impact for our residents to get better jobs, or not get a job, and more provide, and that'll go into the home ownership program. Everything stacks and builds on one another. So yeah, they get involved with FSS and Ross, then the job program comes along, and then they can get into NACA and the other stuff that will bring them to the
So
table.
this is the wraparound, essentially wraparound services to
Right. Right.
everything else for them to be able to become gainfully employed.
Yeah, the Jobs Plus is
Jobs
to
Plus.
be there. Yeah, the plus is to help booster all those other programs.
Oh,
What about the financial literacy part? is that gonna be added into it?
Yeah, that's gotta be on board. That's, where Star is gonna come in and handle some of that. Star, WorkSource, we've got a couple of partners already that all do it, but we kinda ask each one to, you know, I want you to focus on me, you focus on me. That way, you know, everybody gets a better ratio of development. You don't want 10 people piled up trying to do that, and you can split 5 over here, 5 over there. That way they get more individual attention, and people tend to transfer knowledge better.
Speaking of jobs, has anyone contacted Ms. Jackson yet from Goodwill Career Services? I sent an email asking, because she called me again and she didn't hear.
Yeah, I
from
spoke to,
anybody.
I emailed her and spoke to her. She was just simply asking for permission to come onto the property, which she was already voted for in December to, that she could do that. So
No
she's all set, ready to go. I
No
did
one
email her,
emailed-
I emailed her and I spoke to her specifically on the phone.
But I sent the email to you,
Yeah,
and you
we-
never
we-
replied. Did you, because she
I
called me.
talked to her with whichever kids, and so, she's ready to go. I think they already passed out flyers on the
Yeah.
property. I think so.
They've already began their
I do
process.
apologize, for ignoring the email, and so, but we've already addressed that. Are there any more questions from Mr.?
Any more questions for Mr. Edwards?
If not, with Ms. Rutland for resident service. Ms. Rutland? I'm very excited about this presentation, because this presentation really goes to the core of what we're trying to do.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ms. Rutland, Resident Service
Come on,
for
step
Brunswick.
inside, come on, step inside the door.
Okay, I'm Ms. Rutland for the Resident Service for the Brunswick Housing Authority. And this has been a very interesting 60 days. We've had a lot of fun, okay? The first thing I've done was completed our 2022 youth conference over at Edward by the Sea. We had a youth leadership conference. We have this yearly for our residents, so we've completed that one. I've made arrangements for our staff and commissioners to attend our 2022 GAR conference, which will be held in Savannah. The theme is Riverboats of GAR. The conference has classes to teach and train staff on assisted housing, finance, RAD, resident service, management, maintenance, and much more. I will be taking 16 residents to Georgia Association of Housing and Redevelopment 2022 Resident Leadership Conference. This will be held in Athens, Georgia. And the theme is Refresh, Renewed, and Refocus, which is what we are doing here now. Amen? Amen. I've partnered with an extension of the University of Georgia, the Expanded Food and Nutrition Educational Program. This is a 8-week funded program that helps limited resource families make healthier choices on their budget. This program provides food, nutrition, education to thousands of Georgians each year. During the program, each participant received different fractions, such as a tote bag, measuring utensils, recipes, coolers, etc. Upon completion of the program, each participant would be given a certification of completion that can be used on their resume. I've added several more participants to our child care program with Ms. Gardner at Little Promise Keepers, partnered with Kid Nest Learning Enrichment Center for their after-school program, age 6 to 12, and I'm working with Mr. Grant to complete his MOU for the Kids Nest Learning Center, where we will have a second child care provider. This provider also is open on the weekends as needed. I'm glad to see Ms. Chantel here today because I connected with Mr. Sean, her husband. They are the owners of Genesis Allied Health Institute, and has been able to reach out. He was able to reach out to Mr. Kidd for her to come to the meeting on today. I've met with Captain Thorpe to help organize our 2022 National Night Out, which will take place Tuesday, October the 4th, from 6 to 8 p.m. I've also scheduled 115 public housing residents for their resident responsibility meeting, where I'm handing out various handouts to them. And that's just a portion, okay? Because we're moving forward and everything is looking good. Thank you.
Thank you. Someone else? Any question, Ms. Rutland?
Ms. Rutland, I have a question. You said you're taking 16 residents to,
Athens, Georgia, for our resident leadership conference.
what's a resident leadership conference?
The conference consists of bringing our residents together to become leaders. We set up a lot of classes to renew their mind, to get them to become self-sufficient. We talk about different goals that we want them to set to move forward, to transition from one place to another. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Is that with the Georgia Clients Council?
No, ma'am. No, sir. I'm sorry. No, sir.
Will these, first of all, the residents that's going to this leadership conference, will it be in the newsletter to influence or enlighten the rest of the residents to see what each other is doing? And will the ones who complete those certificates, will they be highlighted so we all can see their accomplishment?
Yes. Like Miss Natasha, she does the newsletter. So once a month, she asks, do we have any information to go in? And like our youth leadership conference, we presented their pictures and what they done during the conference, and I do it for our conference and our
It'll be in the newsletter and the website, give them a little pointer.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
I have a question for Commissioner
Sure.
Thompson.
Can you reiterate your activities that you're happening on this trip on the 22nd? I know we discussed it before. I just want to be clear on what we'll be doing.
Oh, the classes. The classes are on assisted housing, finance, RAD, resident service, management, and maintenance.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Thank you, Ms. Rutland.
Thank you.
Next we will have our, any other questions? Next we will have our inspection division. This is going to be key as we move towards RAD, and high-tech development, more property management as we move to moving, owning our own properties, having our residents in, so we are going to expand the inspection department. So I'm excited about what Mike is doing in that division with the short staff that he has. So then, Mike.
Well, good morning, everybody. I thought I was busy until I heard Miss Rutland over there rattle off everything she's been doing. So in the past 60 plus days or so, I've completed 206 inspections, 18 of which have been initial move-in inspections, been 188 annual inspections, and 9 or 10 special inspections. In that time, I've also got with Miss Smith, Miss Cooper, and Miss Douglas about trying to raise our standards on the inspections process. And we've also brought in 5 new landlords, looking like I'm going to bring in another one if I can get in touch with them again today. That's pretty much what I've been doing the past 60 days.
Busy.
A little bit.
I must say, this is not a question, this is a statement. I had a resident to contact me on a situation that she was dealing with. I got with the operations director, excuse me, and Mr. Scott. No, actually his name is Mike. Actually, his name is Mike.
There are 2 in the inspections department, Scott and Mike.
I got in touch with him, he got right on it, and even the resident called me and said, thank you, Commissioner Dickerson, so I thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
That's what we need, that's what we're looking for.
Yes, sir. That's what we're here for. We're here to help these get in safe, suitable housing.
This is the ongoing process. What will you feel the conclusion will be of this?
Of the process that with Miss Stanley,
Yeah.
we've already completed that process. We've got her taken care of, and she's looking to move into a new place now.
Okay.
And let me ask this question. So you handle our not public housing inspections. You're not inspecting public housing.
Not right now, no.
This is for our HCV recipients.
Yes, HQS inspections, yes.
Okay.
Now, to be honest, we are going to add his supervision, and we'll call an HQS inspector for public housing. I think that's critical. That's one of the things that one of the things that has been missed. So what we're asking now before the sign-up, I think we got three levels of sign-up that have to happen before we turn the unit back into our operation. The contractor must sign off. The maintenance director must sign off. Director of maintenance must sign off. The housing director has to sign off. Then we're going to add an HQS in there that will have to sign off. So we'll make sure that that unit is ready. So imagine you're going to purchase your home. We want that same type of evaluation, inspection from the foundation all the way to the roof to make sure that our residents or tenants are moving into sound, decent, safe, and habitable environment. Right now we're having we have to deal with not having that position in a very delicate way.
There's not any more questions, Mike. Thank you for all the hard work. Our next is resident service coordinator, Nelson Williams.
And we almost completed everyone,
Come on.
Good morning to each and every one of you. We've this has been a very interesting experience for me over the past 60 days. Came in, and one of the first things that we were charged to do was to work with the residents at Brooklyn Homes and preparing a residential service council. And at this point, they're at the point where they're getting ready for their election. So they got all the processes have been done, everything has been done to this point to where now they're set for their election. I think some of them are going to Athens. And so I don't know if they're gonna do the election before they go to Athens or when they come back. Soon they should be having that election. We've reconnected the Brunswick Housing Authority with the Golden Isles Brunswick Chamber of Commerce. We were chamber members for a long time and just wasn't doing anything with the chamber and making those connections to different businesses throughout our community that we really need to touch and that we really need to be a part of. So we're engaging in that activity and making sure that we engage those opportunities. We're looking forward to being able to send some of our staff to Leadership Blend, which is a program that the Chamber does every year. I think we missed the deadline for this year, but next year we're definitely trying to send some of our staff to the Leadership Blend program. We're working with the City of Brunswick and the Fire Department, talked with Interim Chief White about the possibility of trying to find young men and women in our housing that may not go to college but are looking for a career. And firefighting, EMT are great careers that they can start right after high school and not have to go to college. So we want to definitely get them involved in those things and those trainings. We're moving forward with our MOU with the Brunswick Job Corps for their work-based learning program, where they send their students to our properties to get work-based learning in different areas, everything from HVAC, electrical, to plumbing, to painting, to landscaping, and all of those areas. So we can get some additional bodies to help us with all that we have going on here at the Housing Authority at this point. We're also working with the Brunswick Glenn County Land Bank and acquiring some properties that are not too far away from here that we're looking to be able to build affordable housing so that we can transition people from public housing to home ownership. And speaking of home ownership, at this point we have 16 persons that have expressed interest in the NACA program. We'll be getting that program up soon, where we'll have them be able to come in and we're going to walk them through the process because it's a 10-step process. is not an easy process, but it's a doable process. And so, and I said to each one of them when they expressed interest, I said, listen, it's a process. It's not gonna happen overnight, but it's gonna happen for you if you go through the process. So we're gonna walk them through that process. We have a couple of young ladies that are here on staff that have gone through or are going through the NACA program that is gonna assist me with helping get those others through the program. Also, one of the things that I'm really excited about, we're working now with Coastal Pines College. They've agreed to do GED, high school equivalency programs for any of our residents. If we have 10 or more residents that want to do or need to do GED programs, they will come to us and do those programs in-house. The Golden House Chamber has also agreed that when we get people that want to go to Coastal Pines, that they'll help us and assist us with transportation, because that's one of the problems that we have is getting all the way out to Coastal Pines to take classes. So I'm working with Ryan now to see how we can make those things happen as far as transportation to Coastal Pines for our residents to be able to take classes at whatever time they desire.
Thank you so much. Any questions?
So, will the Coastal Pines, and the transportation, will that be a cost to the housing authority?
It won't be a cost to us, no.
It won't be a cost to us
No,
or our
sir.
residents?
No, sir.
I like that.
Does Commissioner Sorrell have a question?
Commissioner Sorrell, do you have a question?
Yeah, and my question isn't specifically to, Commissioner, Vincent Williams' presentation. I had my hand up before that. Just
Okay.
wanted to ask, in terms of these verbal presentations, this was not included in our board packet, so can we get these presentations or these reports in writing?
Yes. We'll make sure you have that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next, we will have security and, then with, the policy people, and we'll end with, and we'll end with Ms. Scott. Ready? I'm sorry, Dr. Commissioner. You have a question?
Okay. No, you just move on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, in the past 60 days, I've been charged with a pretty extensive project with the security here on the property. I've had a chance to walk all the properties, identify problem areas as far as surveillance system goes. In the process of that, I've had a couple of companies come in. I've got, I think, 3 more companies scheduled to come and walk the property to start putting bids in on new security cameras. The cameras we're looking at are infrared capable, tag reader capable, group movement capable, gun flash capable. There's all kinds of capabilities that they're offering now that we don't have. All the cameras we're looking at now are not stationary, they're mobile. They'll be able to rotate and zoom and focus. So that's one thing we've been working on. Another issue to go along with the camera system that we're looking at is our trees and bushes and just clutter. So we've had tree companies come in that are looking at raising the canopy of the trees and opening up some of the dark areas. We've got several places on property where the tree limbs have actually pushed our security lighting off poles, where the light's not working anymore. So that led me to contact Georgia Power. I've got scheduled for Georgia Power to come out, look at all the lighting for all the property, to change out the LEDs, to light up some of the dark sidewalks that you can't see, just kind of brighten the place up a little bit. Further, I've been in contact with the emergency management system to start getting real-time weather updates for upcoming hurricanes, natural disasters, anything like that, and they're on board to share that information to educate staff as well as the residents on what they may need to do if, in the event of some type of natural disaster. So that's in the works as well. I'm here early every morning just about and noticed that the children, no matter what weather, are standing outside dripping wet if it's raining for bus stops area. So I contacted the school board and the city of Brunswick, and we have started planning, putting in bus stops for the children on the property. So that's just another project, but I think it's necessary that we look into that. So that's in the planning stage as well.
You said you're looking to install bus stops?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you asked the residents in all the communities where they think that it's more secure for their children to have that bus stop, or you decided where the bus stop is?
We haven't decided where, the planning stage has just begun on that. I'm waiting on a response back from the transportation board for the school, because in a lot of cases, they're only gonna pick up at certain areas. And in those areas, we will focus the surveillance, video cameras. We'll make sure that those areas are nice and secure.
So, and like I said, if we had in the fact that we don't have a resident council, that would be something that they would be picked up on. And they would know the hidden spots or the blind spots where bus stops will be more impactful than where the city or you might think would be. So that's why I said in my email to inform the residents, talk to them, and see, you know, where it will be more beneficial for them to have a bus stop.
Well, we get a commitment from the different authorities and entities, then that we phase, that be the next phase. And hopefully in the next phase, we will have registration on board, and we can coordinate that effort with the site managers as well as the resident association. We can't plan this from our retirement. These are needs that we have identified that need. We do need the residents to say, hey, we need a bus stop on a bus coverage at this stop, and then we can coordinate. I mean, if the bus is just 300 feet, it just stop 300 feet early, you know. So we just got to get those. We work on getting the commitment first. Then we'll bring.
I understand
so,
that, but
so yes, we're not going to move without the residents. We can't do anything without the residents. We here to serve the resident, and this administration has communicated to the staff that we're here to serve, and let's not lose sight of that. And we're committed to that. There's some things that we have to do first before that. So we're right on board with that. And again, that's an initiative that we would love. We are waiting on the resident association to come on board, but we've had some opportunities and tasks, and we need them on board so we can go after certain grants and things of that nature, so we can empower the residents as well as the community. So
And I asked that question because in the initial email, it did not mention any of the residents' input. It sounded like him and the city were going to decide where the bus stops were going to be at. So they did not. Yeah, they did not mention it.
We'll do better on that. We'll in some emails, sometimes, you know, don't really show the commitment. Sometimes we'll apologize for that, but we would never plan for community without community input.
Well, that's why we have these board meetings.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
we
Thank
can
you
ask
so
the
much.
questions.
Great question.
So
Okay.
I'll add one more thing before I'm done. In the past 60 days, and this is credit to the entire staff, and I'll walk miles on these properties talking to lots and lots of people. And the response that the staff is getting for being on foot on the property is incredible. Everybody sees somebody wearing a suit and tie or a coat or just walking around talking and handing out cards and flyers. We've had a 74% drop in police call volume since June the 30th.
I'm sorry, can you say that a little louder?
The
It sounded
police,
muffled to me.
police call volume for public housing property has had a 74% decrease since June the 30th.
And that's fact, we're gonna get that fact today.
I don't know that.
Is that in the report?
That's a fact.
That's him talking to somebody else. I don't know that percentage.
Okay.
Commissioner Sorrells, and I know
We'll
my-
verify that, we'll get that information, we'll verify that. Thank you.
Commissioner Sorrells, I know that you're there, and I apologize, but when you have a question, or you want, just chime right in. Because I think the speakers are right here next to my ear anyway, and I'll hear you, but I can't see anything until I turn around. So if you got any questions, just come right in, Commissioner Sorrells, okay?
When you make observations, or like you just said, the 74% decrease in 30 or some days, do you have contact, or do you refer to Ms. Wright right here on your finding? Because, so they can be somewhat in line with each other? We don't, are these estimates that you're giving, or these are actual facts?
I get the daily police reports, the sheriff reports, as well as the monthly reports. And based on the months prior to June the 30th to now, and for example, June was 24, I believe 24 incident reports taken, X amount of arrests made. I can't remember the numbers exactly off my head. And in the month of July, there were only 11.
So what happened in the short period of time that made that extremely decrease?
Voluntary compliance is my only, and that's just a theory. I mean, just like speaking to all the residents.
I think to have an accurate comparison of whether the reports have decreased, we have to look at the report volume from last year at this time. Typically, you have a lot of reports in the summertime. Folks are home, kids are out, those kind of things, and then school starts back up. So that to compare whether there's been a decrease, we have to look at the year before, not the months before.
Well, if you can do it, if you want an annual decrease, then that's correct. If you want a quarterly, then how you break the quarters up, with 3 months or 4 months, you can.
Well,
we decide. So whatever works best for the board, however y'all want us to get those numbers or present that, then you all instruct us, and we'll make sure we get you all the manual. Yes.
And that's my question, because Officer Wright comes here every month and gives us a rundown of the actual calls, and how many calls came in, and how many out of those calls were actually reported. So we need them both to be in, in a line with each other. How many, do you have any security people working underneath you, or are you doing the work? Are we going in the future? So how can you man 6 communities? Are we gonna get more?
I'm not taking the credit for what's happening. That's why that's the entire staff as a whole being out there, being seen, present, speaking to people is, and it's a fact. And I get spoken to every day. I was approached yesterday about how much the residents appreciate us being out there, being involved in the community, and actually being seen and acting like we're here.
Yeah. Well, the question I think she actually said we were going to provide, or we want to expand the staff. Where, from our initial charge to growing, to expand, and to provide a better environment, we're going to need to expand the staff. Maybe 1 to 2, I'm not sure, we're still managing that right now. So to answer Commissioner Davis' question, yes, we will expand the staff. That's difficult for one person to secure these properties. And so also I want to, even though it is not our duty, but once we identify, and I got to pass this to Mr. Harper, so Attorney Harper, I haven't really thought was kind of on the board. Anywhere that our residents are living in Section 8, we do need to have, anywhere that our resident is living, we need to, if that is, have some accountability to them, whether it's in Section 8, single family house. I'm not sure how that works, if we can even do that. But that's just a thought, but we do need to thought for our entire population.
Okay.
But to answer that question, I understand. Thank you, Mr.
So, let me ask you this, so when we expand, how many are we gonna have on-site security? And how many do you think we need for each community to work efficiently?
Well, I think that, I think that we need to coordinate that with the APAC officer and the police department, along with what we're trying to do. I'm all about creating a relationship and creating, make sure we have a positive, productive, security force. So I don't want to overstep our bounds, the police department and for security, so we need to make sure we work in unison. So we're still, that process is still a work in progress. So we, Officer Wright is going, because the decision that she makes are of that level of magnitude. So, she has a task on her hands. So, but we do appreciate her putting her life on the line for Brunswick Housing Authority. But to answer your question, that's a process. That's what we. It's in progress. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Mr. DeBrey Brothers, and then we will conclude with Ms. Dyer.
Good morning, everybody. We've been tasked to try to develop some private-public partnerships, and I'm pleased to announce that one of those private partners heard about the desire of the Brunswick Housing Authority to provide book bags to our children. And so the Stewart firm wanted to bring a check for $1,000 for that purpose.
Book bags for our residents?
Just a real quick comment, because I think one of the partnerships we've developed goes to the question that you were raised before, Commissioner Dixon, about credit. We have an MOU in a relationship with Credit Kings University. They're going to help fill the gaps on some of those issues, whether it's for a program or whether it's just making it easier for people to transition out of the housing so that they can move into more permanent housing. Because that's the whole focus of what we're trying to do, to make sure it's transitional. And those are some of the other workforce relationships, separate and apart from what Mr. Edwards discussed, also that we're beginning to work with, and we've developed a relationship with Job Corps. So we're trying to move as many residents to functioning paying jobs and out of the housing so that the housing becomes transitional and we give stability and just increase this tax base for the city. Any questions?
FYI, I'm writing Job Corps into this new one.
Do we have a staff member that is directly overlooking these programs to get a quarterly or monthly update of how they are assisting with our residents in order to know whether we will keep them on?
I think that it's going to what they speak to. In other words, you have certain programs you're working directly with Mr. Edwards.
Right.
You have certain programs that are obviously going to have to work with the housing director. So it's going to depend upon which area they fit into, how they fit into our structure. So the short answer to your question is no. There's not one overarching person.
Okay.
But what we really want to do is we want to make sure that each particular type fits with each one, so that there's a connectivity that goes toward that particular area. Because if somebody's doing something with housing that might work toward community service hours as opposed to job preparation hours, that has its own set of regulations and issues. And it might be something totally different than somebody says, I'm a housing, I need something dealing with my child care.
Right.
So those don't really overlap.
So can we get a quarterly report or something to see how those programs are progressing with our residents?
I assume that's something, that's what y'all want, that's what you can get.
Yeah, I wanna make sure the programs are working with our residents.
This is not a partnership with you out there, right?
Well, that's what I
These are
wanted,
two
I
different-
had my hands up. and
These are
kinda-
two different ideas, right?
Well, just to clarify, the FSS and the Ross grants are targeting coordinators. That's funding so that we can have specific coordinators for our support services. So that's coming. Right now, Ms. Rutland been running hard and stressed out with trying to do the FSS program just straight out of our pocket.
I'm
So-
talking about like programs like Star, Credit King, and things like that.
That's what the coordinators are gonna do. They're gonna be the ones to come on board, make sure the community's signing up, tracking, software. We're working at the software we currently have. There's, the providers send us an email, they're updating because the FSS and Ross programs, June 2022, just changed all of their regulations. I'm updating our action plan to follow that, and these positions will come in and take some stuff off our hands to actually, help with what you were talking about. But like Mr. Baker said, right now it's a working process. We're going after things that hadn't been gone after before.
Right.
So yeah, once we can get some responses by the end of the year and get these things on board, yeah, the model's gonna build and things are gonna fall into place, and you'll start seeing more, accurate reporting, more, because that's what we're gonna need in order to ask for some other things moving forward. Documentation and data drives your application.
And that's also the differentiation that I was going to earlier. Like, part of that job corps program, you're not paying them, they want
Right.
to be employed. So that would be a zero cost to us. It fulfills their mandate under their own side. And when we have mandates fulfilled by somebody else, it gives us a direct confusion. Then we can put people working how it fits in terms of our regulations with community service or job prep.
So let me be specific. The programs I'm basically talking about are the ones we pay them to give service to our residents.
Okay, I got you. And what I was speaking to wasn't one of those per se.
Right.
It might be in terms of what I was talking about in terms of the financial issue, but there's both a payment component that can occur, and then there's one that's not, depending upon what the program is. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's all.
Can I answer that question too, real quick?
Yeah.
He's left already. Mr. Williams, we're looking into what you're talking about, the ones that are currently supposed to be providing services and things. Yeah, we're breaking down MOUs, we're looking at everything. We're starting to ask questions in that process. As soon as we get answers, we'll be compiling reports, and hopefully by the next board meeting, we may have some reports and resolutions on that stuff, hopefully.
Right, because when they come up again and present, we'll know
Right.
if we need to get another one in that particular program or keep the one we have. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, we want to be more efficient in doing what we do.
Okay, Ms. Dowd.
You should have had, Mr. Baker should have had me go first, because everybody's talking about everything that we're going to do, and it all sounds good, and I'm dragging everybody back to the last fiscal year.
Excuse me, we usually start off with Officer Wright. She has.
She just finished up the quick staff report.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll make this as brief as I
This is
can.
the financials.
Okay. Our fiscal year end, for those who don't know, is June 30th. So after the fiscal year end, we put together a package of information that gets submitted to HUD. It's called our FAS score. Every housing authority gets a score from HUD. It stands for Public Housing Assessment System. And right now, our score is unaudited because we haven't had our annual audit. It comes up in October. So hopefully this won't change, but as of right now, our FAS score for this year is 79, which overall makes us a standard performer, which you could be a high performer, standard performer, substandard, or troubled. The 79 should mean that we are a standard performer. However, the FAS score is made up of 4 components: physical, financial, capital fund, and management. And by management, I mean property, mostly property management. They are financial indicators for public housing management. Our scores were great in 3 of the 4 components. The only one that wasn't, as I'm sure most people here already know, was the physical scores. The physical scores were not good at all this year. It's been about, I believe, 3 years or so since we've actually been inspected by HUD. And so with that, with the physical scores being under a certain number, because any component of that overall score that's under a certain number, which is 60, that throws you into a substandard category, which just means you're going to get a little more attention from HUD and they will be looking at our score. But it's not audited yet, it's unaudited, so it could change, but we'll know fairly soon. But from a financial standpoint, everything's great. In addition to that, just basic updates. For the past year and a half, we've had an unfilled position in the accounting department, which is 2 people. So I have filled the accounts payable position, and she is fully trained, which is freeing me up to do more things, which is great. I also worked with Ms. Curry and Ms. House, who's our HR director, and because we're expanding staff and expanding what we do and how we do it, the thought was to create a position called office manager, who will handle primarily everything clerical for the office, which will take a couple of things out of the finance department, will take more away from Ms. Curry and free her up to be more of an executive assistant to Mr. Baker, because he keeps her running all the time. Also, I need to schedule, because we have one scheduled, but it just kind of didn't work out, with Ms. Sorrell's and Mr. Dickerson, a finance committee meeting, because I've come up, I want to talk to Mr. Baker and the finance committee about the format of our financials and what information the board would want on a regular basis, so we need to get that going. But I have completed some work on my end to move us in that direction. And that's all.
Okay, any questions? So the board will know, we have our forensic audit will be presented after this meeting, I think at 2:30, so the board members, we're expecting the board members to attend. Also, it's critical that we understand our approach to our vacancy. The reason that we approach the way that we're approaching it is that when the auditors come in, we want to take them on a tour of what exists and where we're going, and ask for a little bit of mercy and a whole lot of grace. And so they will see that this administration, this board understands the quality of housing that we should provide and that we desire to provide. And so in Atlanta, we call them post property. Here, y'all probably call them 8-star property, but these properties, once we turn them over to the residents, we want the residents to take ownership with them in the process. I'll let y'all live it in on the process. It's like going buying a house. We want the residents to come and coordinate their painting with their floors, the cabinets. We're going with hard granite countertops, but we want the resident to take ownership. Even as we go into rehab of these units, we want the resident to come in, give us your color scheme. So we just not wood, and once they do that, they're taking ownership. You know, it's like going buying a car. So that's a unique approach that we're putting together to instill more pride in our residents and tenants, and we want to move and make this transition housing move forward. I want to thank the staff for all their hard work in the last 60 days. I want to thank the commission for being a commission that not only challenged their staff and myself, but also have pushed us and have and keep us moving forward, so that we be an asset not only to our residents but to this community. Commissioner Chairman Kiss, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you. We'll have to learn how to shorten that one up a little bit. That was our first one of that.
Yeah.
And that took quite a bit of time. Okay, we're gonna move on. We have delegations. We're gonna, Officer Wright, I apologize for having you here so long. Next time I'll remember to put you first so you can get back out here and continue serving and protecting our community. But if you can give us your report just really fast, and I appreciate your patience.
Good morning. So
Good
I'll be
morning.
reading the monthly report for July and August since I was absent, in July. For the month of July, for Abbott Andrews, we had 12 calls, 1 report, which was a death investigation. Abbott Andrews for August was 23 calls, 1 report which led for a traffic stop, and arrest times 2, which both of them was wanted. Brooklyn Home Annex for the month of July was 5 calls, no reports. For the month of August was 4 calls, no reports. Brooklyn Homes North for the month of July was 28 calls, 3 reports, which was a theft, problem with person, and a domestic. For the month of August for Brooklyn Homes North was 44 calls, 7 reports. 1 was a domestic, which led to arrest, shots fired, which led to property damage to the buildings, juvenile problem, welfare check, follow up for CID, which was changed to drugs, 1 arrested, barred, wanted person, 1 was arrested, barred, and trespassing, arrested, and he was already barred, which was, let me kind of go into those 3. So the last 3, which was the follow up CID, 1 person trespassing, was all in 1 unit. A tip was given to CID, which was criminal investigation detectives. We had a lot of lawn equipment stolen around Brunswick, and a tip was made that the male who was stealing it was inside this unit in Brooklyn Homes North. The detectives actually went to that unit. Once they opened the door, the man tried to flee at the back door, which we had detectives back there. So that was his arrest, which some cocaine fell out his pocket, which changed that follow-up to drugs. Right when the detectives went to put that male in the car, they slammed the door and locked it. I retrieved the key from the site manager, went in, of course, guns drawn, and it was an extra 3 individuals plus kids inside the unit. The other 3, which was 1 was already barred, 1 had a warrant, and it was the female who actually lives in the apartment and her 2 babies. Once we went into the kitchen, they didn't have like a dining table, it was a pool table. And I asked them, how did y'all get this pool table in this kitchen? So as we went to further investigate, we found glass pipes, aluminum foil which was burnt, plastic, aluminum cans, like anything they could smoke that cocaine out of basically was inside that unit. So that's why I say that follow-up actually changed to a drug call.
When you have something like that, does the tenant need to be removed out of that apartment? What can happen?
Yes, site manager instantly get contacted. A report does get done, and that automatically get hands to the site manager. Since it was drugs and everybody was inside the unit, I automatically barred everybody inside the unit. And then the move out or the eviction or anything, that's up to the site manager. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that was a busy morning.
So essentially,
Early in the morning.
So essentially, inside one of our units, there was
Yes, it
the
was.
drug house.
It was inside of the unit.
What property?
Brooklyn Homes North. Brooklyn Homes South for July monthly report was 4 calls, 1 report, problem with person. Brooklyn Homes South for the August report was 9 calls, 3 reports, which was a domestic, a terroristic threat, and a theft. For the month of July for McIntyre Court, it was 54 calls, 8 reports, which was noise from the same apartment 3 times. Juvenile problem, damage to property times 3, theft, civil matter, and a suspicious. For the month of August for McIntyre Court was 37 calls, 3 reports. It was 2 thefts and a suspicious, and I believe in that one it was someone removing the old people chairs off their front porch as I watch camera, I just return the chairs, you know.
Daily.
So I get them calls daily from my friends. For the month of July for Glenville, it was 52 calls, 7 reports, terroristic threats, damage to property, theft, rented auto, problem person, assault, domestic, and a person with a gun. Glenville for August report was 38 calls, 1 report which was an assault. For Hopkins Homes Annex for the month of July was 3 calls, 1 report, which was terroristic threats. And for the month of August, we had no calls and no reports for Hopkins Homes Annex. Last but not least, July for Hopkins Homes was 20 calls, 3 reports, abandoned vehicle, problem person, and a theft. And for the month of August, it was 23 calls, 8 reports, assault, 2 domestics, 2 problem with person, a fight, theft in an auto, and a juvenile problem, which the fight ended up being juveniles.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Going back to this, unit with all the, are you working with, Mr. Cooper and Mr. Baker to help resolve any future incidents that might occur like this? Or is there any solutions that we may be able to implement to prevent, I think that may be difficult, but to prevent that type of activity inside of our units and essentially putting our communities in an unsafe place?
I actually spoke with Mr. Cooper and Mr. Baker about the incident. I won't say a solution because that'll be us having eyes at all times. Just like Mr. Cooper is going walking a project, walking the areas and making it his presence known. Introduce himself as security because a lot of people ask me, who is the people in suits walking? I'm like, well, that's director of security. But making his presence known, it kind of, I did get a lot of, hey, I don't smell the weed, smell no more coming through the vents. Thank you for, they call me the white man, I'm like, it's Mr. Cooper. Mr. Cooper walking the area. Mr. Cooper, it's Mr. Cooper. Mr. Cooper walking the area, just making his presence known, even though I be ripping and running. We still got the overtime KPAC, which is overtime for any officer to sign up to work throughout the week and also the weekends. Just like the other day, we had a chase with the stolen vehicle, and they was juveniles. They actually ended up at Albany and Gloucester, so we actually had to lock down Glenville, GA, and any other close school just to make sure they didn't run this way. As we was walking through, it was sheriff's office, county, myself, anybody walking through, all the time was like, ooh, I'm so happy y'all walking through, but they didn't run through here. I'm like, well, thank you, just but if they do run, just let me know, you know. But we try to, like, as the babies getting off the bus, I instantly ran to the buses, make sure mom, parents got the babies. But as long as we try to make our presence known, that's all I can try to do. And we do get a lot of calls about the marijuana coming through the vent, but since apartments are connected, I don't know if it's come from this side, I don't know if it's come from that side. Usually I try to walk close to the doors, because usually I can smell it stronger as I get to the doors, but it's just in the area, so I just try to make myself in the area or try to be known.
Residents are responding positively to the presence.
Oh yes, they are responding positively to the presence.
Okay, that's good.
As long as they know Mr. Cooper's name, it's security. He's not just out here walking just for fun. Security, security. So they also see Miss Cooper, which they didn't know who Miss Cooper was. Well, who's the white lady walking with him? I'm like, well, that's the director. So as long as y'all can try to get y'all names out there, I just have to correct them from that. Who's the white person in the suit? Because they kind of scared. Should I just move my kids? No, they're here for your safety too. They just don't carry a gun. That's it. They're here for your safety. He reports to me, and I try to get back with him as well.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy that the residents are responding positively to the presence. as we create a more safer environment for our residents.
Oh yes, so summer is ending, so most of our young people are kind of, from school and stuff. As long as they in school, it was the summer that took me out, but as long as they in school, it is kind of dying down a little bit. So yes, they definitely appreciate it.
So I have a question.
Hang on a little bit.
So I know that the city of Brunswick Police Department has been looking at having more of a community policing process, and I believe the Glenn County Police Department is doing the same. And I'm curious, so let me back up. I don't know that I heard that the residents are responding positive. I might have a different perception of that from what Commissioner Kitt said. In that people know that they're being surveilled, and so what does that look and feel like? And it's also a community of a majority of color being what they perceive security by white people. I'm just gonna be frank, and not to suggest that anything is wrong with that, but I do think that we need to pay some attention to what that might look like and feel like. And so my question is, are there any suggestions that you all have from the police department around what community sort of policing processes or practices can be implemented so that, we have quite a bit of calls on the reports that don't necessarily result in reports, which suggests to me that people are, they get used to sort of having police presence, and I don't know that that necessarily equates to safety more than it equates to fear. So I want to hear a little bit more about what that might be, if you all have had some discussions in that space.
It's not that they fear Mr. Cooper. He's a new face. And they do refer to him as a white person, who's the white person walking. But I always try to explain who he is and what he do. Also, Miss Cooper, what she do and who she is. I explained that to Captain Wilson, who is my supervisor, and he was like, it's just for me to explain who he is and what he does so they can get comfortable with that. Because a lot of them like, oh, should I not be outside? Or are they watching us? No, it's just for your security, for their safety, because it's just me, all nine. So I always try to explain he's not here to go against them, he's here for them.
And do we want an environment, and this is a question for the room, is this an environment that we believe is positive for the residents to feel like they are being watched consistently?
Well, let me say this, Commissioner. The haves are surveilled and protected. Have cameras all over. You can't go to Sea Island, St. Simons, or even Jekyll Island with someone surveilling you. I haven't been in a community that has not been surveilled. So we're giving our residents the same level of let me approach it this way. We're trying to change the attitude of our population from being surveilled to we're protecting, providing security from it. And we got to do that. We got to do that groundwork. And maybe this process is of security cameras moving faster than we're ready, and we're gonna need the resident association to engage in that and to reprocess what we're doing, because we're not watching to he or she or they are committing a crime. We're providing protection and to identify elements that may not be in the best interest of our community. So we're not trying to watch to identify them as much as we're protecting our property. My house in my home in Atlanta, even where I rent now, I have cameras, to protect my property. So we want to provide a secure community. We want our kids. I go with them on the weekend. I want our kids to be able to walk through these communities, to play safely, and we don't want someone just going to trying to kidnap a kid or something, we want to be able to track that person if they misbehaving. You know, when I came up, we ran, you know, when the lights came on, that's when we went home. But before then, you know, Mom kicked y'all out after breakfast, and we was out in the heat to a time to lunch. So we had our bologna cheese, and we ran back in. We had to go back out. So we dealing with a different society now. So we're trying to provide security where these parents can have their kids, you know, play without being someone trying to snatch them, someone trying to cause harm to them, trying to protect their properties. Our residents work real hard, and it's unfair to them that someone breaking their car, we don't know who broke into their car, you know. So we're actually providing protection. So maybe we need to, and I do agree with you, Commissioner, that maybe we need to re-educate and rethink this process as we go through. We welcome your input as well as any commissioner or even the community input. How do we reach out to our community to re-educate what we're doing? Because they need to feel comfortable when Mr. Cooper walked by. You know, hey, you know, police officer walked by. Police officer was my best friend. You know, they gave me candy. They, you know, hey, you know, we raised together, right? If I beat you, you gonna give me money to go get an ice and some potato chips. And so those type of relationships we're trying to create, Commissioner Bailey.
So, we do still have resident meetings, don't we still have resident meetings every month or every quarter here? Okay, so initially, has Mr. Cooper been introduced to the residents, or did he just go out there and walk and he has to explain himself? If he's new security, he should be introduced to the residents as a whole in one setting. And if she's having, what you said, a monthly, then if that's the fastest way to do it, he should go to each resident community. It's like 2 communities at one time, and introduce himself. And when the residents come to those meetings, they'll pass the word along. So you just can't, it's like Commissioner Sherrill said, you just can't walk into the community and just have somebody new walking around because you don't know who they are.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Okay.
I mean, no, you won't have that argument.
All right.
No, I agree. I'm
not
all on
arguing
board.
with you,
but
I'm saying
right.
he should initially be introduced to the residents,
Yes.
and then they won't have those questions. Who's this white man? Who's this?
Yeah, right.
Who's that?
That's right.
So formally introduce them at the resident meetings or something, and then that will be understood.
I would just like to add, I've watched you for years over doing your job. I've seen all the activity that goes on in the housing authority for its some of the criminal activities that you've been engaging in. Over the years, I've seen a lot. But I'm not here to talk negative. I'm here to give you your credit, and you just do. And a lot of people don't understand. Your job is very hard, difficult. I watch you. You don't know. We live in a society now where people are violent. It's not just the drugs. It's that you cannot put a cap on any activity a person do privately in their home for drugs and stuff like that. But I love the idea that we got a little more participation in people walking around with suits on to notify people that this is not going to continue. This is not going to be tolerated with, because for so long we didn't have this. Let's be real. And I commemorate the activity that is going on right now in the public housing, where people have been put on notice that these things will not be tolerated. And I watch you, like I said, you are by yourself. You need more support. I mean, you talked about it before. Yeah. So you're my hero. You're my hero, and you blow at me all the time. And I want to let you know that I recognize that, and I want to give you your just due and your credit today, because you did an outstanding job.
Thank you so much.
That's what I wanted to say. And hopefully we'll get this under wraps if we continue on this pace with deterring people from thinking that they can just do things their way. Because over the years I've seen transitions made over there. I remember the time when people could drive the cars in there. You've been through those days. Been through days where everybody sell their own drugs. Been through days where the staff is down now. But things are getting better. Like you said, it's a work in progress. And if we work together, I think we can achieve our goal. If we work together and let the process, and trust the process, number one. Let it take place. We gotta start somewhere. I always say it's got to be a start. Everything is not gonna be done overnight. Everything is not gonna be resolved overnight. If we think that things are gonna be resolved overnight, then we're wasting our time. We got to trust in one another, and we gotta work together to get to a common cause. And our common cause is we want our community safe, we want our children safe, we want to be staying in a safer environment. And without you guys' help, that wouldn't be possible. But it's a very important job that you do.
Thank you.
And I don't take it for granted. And anything I can do to support that, I'm here. So I just want to let you know where I stand today. And that's why I stand. We need security. Start with security first. Everything else don't matter. Because without security, we want nothing to do. And yield my time.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Dobson. We appreciate that. Commissioner Sorrells, do you have any further comments for Officer Wright?
I don't, thank you.
Thank you. Officer Wright, again, thank you. We appreciate all that you do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your
We'll move on
service.
to the next agenda item. We have Genesis Allied Health Institute. Shantae Knowles.
Good morning, how are you?
Good morning.
Well, I'm Shantae Knowles, I'm the president of Genesis Allied Health Institute. I'm Janine, I'm the CEO of Genesis Allied Health Institute. We like to propose to provide training to Brunswick Housing Authority residents. Our phlebotomy program is a 2-week program. Within the 2 weeks, we Okay, so I'm just going to start over from the beginning just to let you know what a phlebotomist is. A phlebotomist is a person that collects blood and blood samples to be processed at a laboratory. And our mission at Genesis Allied Health Institute is to enhance the lives of any person seeking training through our program by preparing our students with skills that will allow them the opportunity to gain entry-level employment in the medical system and pay them a livable wage, while also providing them with the ability of being a valuable asset within the healthcare system and their community. We also provide valuable education and offer continued support needs for students to complete the training throughout the program. We'd like to propose to provide Brunswick Housing Authority residential program with our phlebotomy training certification, which will include phlebotomy training, employment, and money management assistance. We also provide job networking, work habits, money management, resume writing, and interview techniques. The students, they'll receive 2 weeks of phlebotomy training. That's the length of our course. Within that 2 weeks, we'll provide job fair. We'll organize job fairs for the students. We'll also have someone come in that will talk to them about budgeting. We have someone from insurance that we have an agreement with that would like to come in and talk to them about life insurance, as well as VISTAR, which is needed into Brunswick. They like to come in and talk to the students about checking and savings accounts as well. The students will also teach them, we'll also work with them on their resumes and do interview techniques as far as mock interviews with them. Also go over workplace etiquette, workplace codes of conduct, conduct and dress codes. The students are eligible also to participate once while they're in our program and 2 weeks after our program and our volunteer program that we have with East Coast.
Southeast Georgia Health System.
The Southeast Georgia Health System. They've agreed to have our students come in and get hands-on training. And they also are willing to, like students that excel within that training program, they also have some job opportunities available to them if they do well. And we also give them direct leads and register them, help them register with wellness companies. We have here on the class sizes that we are interested in having that we work with are 15 to 20 students. We also like to be able to offer to be able to come on site within your communities to make the training more available to them so that they wouldn't have any reason not to be able, if they sign up, not to be able to finish the training.
So, how long has this program been involved in?
Since 2020.
2020. And you know they have phlebotomy classes at the college. How many hours, it's 2 weeks, how many hours a day will a person be in this training?
40 hours is required in order for them to receive.
Not a day.
No, not a day.
Yeah.
4 hours a day.
4 hours a day.
Required training. They also are required to complete some 2 hours of training online as far as through our community portal, as far as their classwork. Watch videos.
How many teachers are going to teach this class in 2 weeks?
It's just one instructor per class is required. They provide the instruction and the lab, the coursework and the lab instruction.
So it's Monday through Friday?
Monday through Friday.
Now, the certificate is $750 and the labs are only $100. What is the certification? What is the $750 for? What goes into that?
$750 is for the training. We are accredited through NHA, so we have to pay for the student to be able to be accredited through NHA as well. We have to pay instructors, so all of that goes towards the coursework. There's supplies, we provide them. That's something that we've actually lowered the cost in a sense where the other things that we would be providing for Brunswick Housing Authority, because we're going to provide the students with their the scrubs, their stethoscopes, stuff like that they would have to have out-of-pocket expense for. We're going to provide that for them. So within the supplies for the lab, the $100 includes all of their disposables and things that they would use.
Are y'all accredited?
Yes, we are accredited. We are authorized by the state of Georgia and we are accredited through the National Health Association.
That's a lot for 2 weeks. That's a lot of training for 2 weeks. Because normally the minimum amount is 6 months. So this is a lot of training for 2 weeks. Anybody else have any questions?
Can I speak to that? We've been conducting classes from 2020 and we have a huge success rate with our students. I took phlebotomy in 1996, and when I took phlebotomy, I only trained for 10 days, which was for 40 hours as well. With the phlebotomy, we give them all the skills that they need to acquire within those 2 weeks. And in addition to that, they do get the externship where they're going to the hospital and be able to draw blood. So this is a skill that is not something that you're going to be proficient at by just being in a classroom. You're getting proficiency at becoming a phlebotomist by actually the hands-on that you get through employment and hands-on training. So through the hands-on externship that you're doing, and in class they're actually sticking each other as well. But 2 weeks is more than enough time to be able to train them. When they do offer the classes at the university, they extend the time. They have to be able to offer a certain amount of hours for it to be a program in the university.
My question is, because I'm the finance man, are y'all, I heard you say Brightstar, but are y'all open to other companies? Or do y'all just have a contract with them and that's it?
No,
Taking
we
up
open
training
to
on
other
it.
companies.
You open other companies too? Here's my question.
This, so, I'm not familiar with, what's that word again?
Phlebotomy.
That. Essentially, this is some sort of potential job training for residents to acquire a skill in a condensed time to accelerate their potential for gainful employment. Is that looking at that the right way, commissioners?
It's a training.
I don't know if it's,
Well, yeah, she just said it was still 10 days.
So-
sounds like they need extra time, but it's great that they need to help.
Well, yeah, we've been short-staffed nationwide short-staffed in the health field for quite some time.
The program is a great opportunity for residents who are looking for entry-level position into the health field. As a phlebotomist with a certification, you don't only gain employment as a person who's done a short blood lab. You can do COVID testing. You can work as a medical assistant, even though you're trained to as a phlebotomist, they'll hire you to do that. You can work independently as doing insurance examinations, as well as health and wellness. And I just say that because those are all the things that we do. We both have point-of-care labs. She has
Yeah, I have one here.
and I have one in Douglasville, Georgia. And if you see our PIA certification, the only requirement was for us to be able to be phlebotomists, and we were able to have a business that we can actually be able to gain hundreds of thousands of dollars with the 2B certification. We go above and beyond when we train direct from the students as well, because most phlebotomy courses, when you finish, it's like, where do I go? Yeah, where do I get a job? What do I do? We train them how to do insurance exams, and we train them how to work with the health and wellness and give them direct contact to the companies that we work with, and we have relationships and refer other students to.
Are there any further questions for Ms. Knowles and Janine? Commissioner Sorrells, you got any questions?
Do you have partnerships with anybody so when they finish the class, they can go into a job?
Yes, we're working with the hospital.
Just the hospital?
I'm gonna ask that we recommend.
No questions.
Thank you. I'm gonna ask that we recommend, turn this over to our finance subcommittee, so that way they can work with our finance director and see about funding, and also potentially work with, see if we can, if it's something that we do, potentially, find some additional funding, to facilitate, a potential partnership.
Are we gonna do?
Again, recommend it over to the finance subcommittee. That's what, I mean, that's, you need a motion to vote for it, then.
I mean, with finance committee, what are they gonna do, just see if that's what they're asking
Yeah.
for in the budget?
Yes, it was in our budget to be able to afford it, number one. I mean, they're looking for 360 students at $850 a person.
Don't we have fund grants that we have training for our residents if they wanna go into technical schools or get any type of training? Don't we have HUD or housing
We
grants?
actually have those grants now.
And we have.
You
I
don't
mean, there's
have
some, yeah, I was gonna say, there's some indiscretionary funds as well. I mean, I think this is a program and administrative process. I don't know that this is a financial committee decision. If there are residents, number one, have expressed an interest, I think that's number one, to identify if there's a viable pool of folks that could take this. And then the second piece is, what is the programming or administrative support needed to help them move through that process? The funds are available.
Right. And the other question is, does Goodwill carry this course?
I'm sorry, just to be clear. If they get the number of students that they're requesting $306,000. Just want to put that out there. $306,000 is what without looking at any finances. And I know we have funds, but they're asking for $306,000. And we're not even going to take the opportunity to see if there's additional funding through grants to facilitate this before we approve it.
But my question is this: we have Goodwill, and we have
which costs us no money.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have WorkSource, and
which costs us no money.
Okay. So let's see, and then we have to vote on it like we do on all the other programs.
That's what I'm saying. We recommend it over to the finance subcommittee and our grants people to see if, one, are we okay with being $306,000 on the hook? Two, can we give staff an opportunity to find $306,000 or even $100,000 to help pay for this?
But like Commissioner Sorrell just said, that doesn't go to finance yet, because first of all, we have to get the people who's interested in this, see if it's off, because if we have more than one program serving the same thing, we're overloaded. First, see if Goodwill provides this type of training, see if WorkSource, they pay for students, they give them stipends for daycare and transportation, see if they offer it. So we won't have multiple programs doing the same thing.
I agree. I'm not saying no to the program. I'm saying allow our finance committee, our finance director, and staff to come back next month and say, hey, yes, we can actually afford this. Because right now we're looking at, again, $306,000 on the hook if everything. And I appreciate the program. I understand. I'm 100% for it. But if I can find a way to pay for $300,000 extra without it actually coming out of our pocket, a grant or additional partnerships, I 100% want to do that first.
What I am suggesting is that this is an operation matter. This is not a board decision or finance committee decision. If the housing authority staff identify residents that they feel would benefit from this, if there are no other programs to support this, I would like their recommendation as to how they want to move forward. My question is there a minimum number of participants? Because the dollar amount you are placing is upon the maximum amount of participants. So do we need to have that number of participants to move forward if they are interested?
The minimum number of students that we would allow in the class is 10. That's what we offer now at our location. We don't conduct a class unless we have at least 10 students that have enrolled.
Do a petition or on our website and see how many is willing to sign up for the class, and then go search Goodwill or go search WorkSource, and if they don't offer the program, then we'll decide maybe if we need this or not. But first we have to see if anybody's interested in doing it.
Right.
So do a petition and get.
Either way it goes, again, my recommendation was to go to send it to the finance committee and staff. Ms. Sorrells is essentially saying the same thing, that we need to send it to staff so that they can see if there's any additional funding or get their recommendation on how we need to move forward.
And I am saying that it is not a finance committee decision at this point. So I don't agree with the recommendation of the finance committee to be a part of that discussion.
Right, and I understand that. I was just making that as a point that that we're agreeing that there would be more information required before we say yes or no. I have a couple of questions from staff. I don't know who was first. Ms. Dyer, you were first. Please.
Yeah, I think I heard Ms. Sorrell say that it was more of an operational decision than a board decision, if that was right. Yes. I just wanted to say, for her sake, because she hasn't been here in the past, that traditionally this would be funded out of our Georgia HAP funds, which is non-federal. However, any program or anybody who came to make a presentation to us, it was historically it has always been presented to the board and has been a board decision whether or not to approve that program. So that is why it's being done this way.
And let me say this, so there have been contractual decisions that have been made that have not required the board to approve. Financial decisions that have been made, so I understand the presentation to the board. What I am suggesting is that without some information from the program and practice piece around who this would impact, it is not at that decision level yet. So if we, okay, so if we're gonna make decisions about finances, then, which includes contracts as well, then we need to make those across the board, not pick and choose what. Because I understand the dollar amount, so I hear you with that.
Well, yeah, and again, I think, again, as just internally, our policies currently state that, was anything under $100,000 doesn't go to the board. And again, just a quick math, 300,000 would automatically make this onto the board, because that would literally meet that threshold. But anyway, I had a question. I'm sorry, go ahead, Commissioner Sorrells.
That number is based on those amount of participants. So without knowing how many people could benefit or willing to participate, then we don't know yet whether it's a board decision based on that dollar amount. That's all I'm suggesting.
Right, you're absolutely correct.
Okay, got you.
Okay. You had a question, Mr. Edwards?
Yeah, just two quick things. People sign up for your class, and are you looking at money in advance or once they complete the program?
We require to pay, well, because it's for a student that comes into the course, that's not through a program, they would have to pay before they start classes, because we've had a lot of experiences with students don't pay. Once we put them on a payment plan, but in this situation, the money is coming directly from the housing authority. So we are willing to do net 30s. So that would be 2 courses, so that would be 2 classes. Once 2 classes have been completed, we're able to.
And the reason why I ask is because our current MOU is STAR. They recruit people, they go through the class, it's more of a reimbursement program than it is an upfront program. So I didn't know if we need to get together and work out semantics or something, but that may be something more agreeable. But right now it's just on the table, but there's room for trying to work out those kind of semantics, because you get somebody in there and they start, they may say, hey, this is not for me, and leave. So we won't be on there for that, but that's just something to consider for discussion.
So what came up with the $306?
That's the 850 times the 10 people for 52 weeks. What are your recommendations for board, for commissioners? Do you have any? Any recommendations, motions for Genesis Allied Health Institute?
Going forward, I would just say that based upon putting out a petition, putting it on our website, see how many people sign up, do the research and see if WorkSource offers it, see if Goodwill Career Specialist offers it, and then we come back to the drawing board here and see where we go from there.
Okay, so sum that up, let's have staff, not necessarily the finance subcommittee, but let's go ahead and have staff review it, come back with a recommendation at our next meeting.
Well, have staff put out the request on the website that how many residents would like to participate. Let them know it's 2 weeks. Let them know once they start, they have to finish, or, because it's only 2 weeks. Then put a signed petition somewhere, because everybody's not gonna go on the website right now. But in the future, if we get that site up there for a channel. And then come back and then go ask Goodwill and WorkSource if they offer this under their umbrella. And then we'll come back next month and see where we go from there.
Agreed. Thank you to both for a wonderful presentation, and someone from staff will be in touch with
Okay, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Family Connections of Glenn, Miss Kemp.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Alnita Kemp, and I serve as the Executive Director for Family Connection of Glenn County. I am excited to be here with you guys on this morning. I would like to share just a brief synopsis of our mission. So with Family Connection, we are an organization throughout the state of Georgia. And we have been present and very vigilant in our work throughout the state of Georgia for the past 30 years. And so our mission is simply to connect and to convene. So what we do is we work with a collaborative group who offers resources throughout Glenn County that we then convene together to see what the needs are, so that once we know what the needs are, we can put a plan in place to address the needs. And honestly, I am just overwhelmed by hearing what has been shared here today, because I was actually present just to sit in on your last public hearing. And so there were several residents here, and they talked about, oh my God, the concerns in housing. And I sat with my mouth open, because I said, wow, we have people in Glenn County who are living like this. So to see the work that the collaborative, the board, the administration has done to address some of those is amazing. One of the things that stood out most to me during that time was that there was a young lady here, and she stood when they asked the residents if they had anything to say. Her address was different than most of the others. Some talked about their refrigerators and their flooring and flooding and all this stuff. But her request was, I simply want a seat at the table. And that stood out for me. And it was about that time that we were putting together our FY23 plan. And with Family Connections, we don't just come up with ideas of what needs to be done or what the work look like. It is evidence-based and data-proven. And so we know that families have been affected by high unemployment, loss of income, increase in health costs, really within the last decade, but COVID-19 has added to that. And so what we have found through research is that many individuals and families, they are starting to carry that burden. They are feeling like, because I can't pay my rent, or because I can't do this, I don't really have food, or whatever the case may be, they are starting to feel like that is a burden and that they are alone in that work. And so they are taking on what is a macro level issue for the community, and they're wearing it as an individual. And so what I propose to your board this morning is very simple. We don't need a whole lot of money, because we collaborate and we convene. What I want to be able to do is make sure that your residents have a seat at the table. By listening to you, Ms. Linda, I have already pretty much identified an audience that we can start with. That audience will be your advisory board. While we understand that STAR and all of these great programs, who is a part of our collaborative, they show up for us the second Tuesday of every month. They're in our meetings, and they are connecting and convening too. And so we hear that these resources are available, but aren't we tired of just checking a box for our people and saying, okay, we did it. We want to be intentional.
We want to empower and change lives. So Family Connection of Glenn County would like to come in, work with, we're not big on numbers. We don't need 300 people to show up so we can put it in the newspaper. If we are able to work with 10 people to begin on your advisory board, and we start here, because this is where change starts. We want to be able to interview them, assess them. What does this look like for you? Bringing a seat to the table doesn't mean just showing up for the board meetings and having a voice. Bringing and having a seat at the table is what does volunteer opportunities look like. We don't want to lead you to the water. We want to be able to celebrate when you drink it. And so what that looks like for us is once we see that, we want to volunteer. We want to set up volunteer programs. We want to go out with you on Saturdays. We understand already. I've done the research. Second Harvest Food Banks. They do not have enough volunteers to deliver food to our seniors on Saturday. We want to be able to work with that advisory board and say, hey, come dress. This is what we have. But not just tell them, hear their voices and what that looked like. Because volunteering, it builds you. It gives back to you when you are giving to someone else. And so once we start doing that, oh my goodness, the programs you mentioned, Workforce, STAR, what that will look like when they're having mock interviews. Their confidence will be built. We want them to show up and convene and collaborate with us the second Tuesday of every month at our collaborative meeting. We want the residents to be there to see what the resources in the community look like. And so I ask you guys to please give me an opportunity to work with your population of people. We want to be present. We want to be intentional, and we are here to do the work. And when I say we have a board that works very diligently with us. We recently had a focus group. Thank you for showing up for that, because it's through those small focus groups that we hear even the more of what our data is saying, which is proving what we need. And so I am excited about an opportunity. If there just happen to be a little grant money, we'll take that too. But we are excited to do the work. And I congratulate you guys. I commend you on the work that you've done. The conversation and the aroma and feel of the room this time versus the last time shows the work that you are doing.
Yes,
Stay in the field.
Yes,
it'll pay off.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Speaking of Family Connections, as one of the programs I hope you vote on, has anybody got in touch with Coastal Georgia Community Action, Ms. Treese Hamilton, because she is interested?
We have a meeting with her on the next Friday.
Okay. Second of all,
23rd.
when we vote on Family Connections, I hope we do, will somebody from staff go to their monthly meetings and bring us back information?
We will assign someone.
Okay.
One of our tasks that we're looking into, we want this agency to get more involved in the community. And she was talking about needing volunteers for
Saturday.
For Saturday. I will commit this staff to a Saturday. And so I just don't know what Saturday we just have to coordinate. No, we're gonna get out there, but part of Kids our goal is to let the community know that we need their help. This is a vision. We can't do it by ourselves. And we're gonna make this transition to housing. We need everybody involved. But the best way to do that is show people our commitment to the organization, and so that you'll see that we in with you, so you can get in with us, and then we have a strong and powerful, more productive partnership. We're still a work in progress, and so, but we'll coordinate that up, and we will have someone assigned to you, maybe 2 to 3 individuals, and coordinate and come back. Not only report back to the board, but to work with the staff, see who can assist in the volunteer process. If you know,
Can you call back in? Oh, so we need a recess. Can you give me just 2 seconds? Ms. Kemp, are you currently asking us for funding at this point?
I am in support of the work that we will do with the audience that we build through your advisory board. Now, what that will look like for us would be when we come together, we may want to offer refreshments, we may want to do some publications of the work that we're doing, we may want to get those sort of things out there. And so it will require, we may want to do some, put together resource maps, and those things will cost money.
Okay, so it's a partnership that we're looking at. I'm gonna refer you to staff so that you guys can work all that stuff out, and I think that'll be beautiful. And I'll entertain a motion for a 10-minute recess.
And then can you give us an outline of what the cost is, will be like
Yes,
next time?
absolutely.
All right,
I will entertain a motion for a 10-minute recess.
okay, thank you.
No, you gotta actually say it.
A motion for a 10-minute recess.
Do I have a second? Second. Motion to recess by Madam Vice Chair Bailey, second by Commissioner Dobson. Everybody in favor, say aye. Aye. Those have the same? All right, we will come back at 11:27.
Okay.
100 miles, Miss Josiah, or Mr. Josiah Jazz. We better go, not come back. 100 miles, Mr. Josiah Jazz Watts to talk to us.
About expungement.
Expungement?
Yes.
Okay.
So, good morning, everyone. And, I won't take up too much time, but, my name is Josiah, I go by Jazz Watts. I'm a Glenn County native. I just moved back to the area just a few months ago. I'm an environmental justice strategist, with 100 miles, but, I'm here today, in a separate capacity, just as a community member. And just to tell you a little bit about how I got here. So for the last 2 decades, I've been working in Atlanta. I've worked for a number of foundations, but one of the projects that I worked under was funded by the State Bar of Georgia, where I was something called the Equal Justice Fellow, and worked for an organization called the Georgia Heirs Property Law Center in Atlanta, which is the only nonprofit law firm that deals specifically with heirs property and estate planning through people who have heirs property. So while I was an Equal Justice Fellow, we work with a number of different organizations like Atlanta Legal Aid, Georgia Legal Services, Metro Fair Housing. One of those organizations that I work with is the one that's on here today. It's called the Georgia Justice Project. And we're here today in the capacity to talk about an expungement clinic, or something called a second chance desk. And just to talk a little bit about that, I have the legal program director from Georgia Justice, Brenda Smeaton, and staff attorney Tiffany Gordon. And they're just gonna take a few minutes and tell you about this project. We're gonna have an event that's gonna be on Saturday, October 1st, which will be this expungement desk, or this expungement clinic. And just to give you an idea, we have a wide variety of partners. One, of course, is the Housing Authority, but I have to say the beginning of this started really with Community First, and Commissioner Booker is here, and he's been a part of the conversation from the beginning. But we have a number of partners: the Better Glen, the city of Brunswick, the county, FaithWorks, Coastal Georgia Area Community Action Authority, Public Defender's Office, the Abbott Institute, Union City Church, Georgia Legal Services, Rise Risley, and that's just the folks that were organizations that were able to fit on the flyer. So when I was thinking about the last presentation, and she was talking about uplifting the community, uplifting the people, helping people, that's what expungement is about. That's what record restriction is really about. And I came to Mr. Kitts and have been talking about this for a long while too. So I'm just happy that we are able to be here with you for a few minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and just let Brenda and Tiffany go ahead and kind of take it from here. And thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Jazz. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for letting us speak at the meeting. I know you're running late, so we'll be quick. We sent along some slides, but we don't need to go through those. We'll just go ahead and tell you a little bit about who we are, and we can share the slides with you later. So again, I'm Brenda Smeaton. I'm the legal director of Georgia Justice Project. We are a nonprofit organization funded privately by foundations and churches, and our headquarters are in Atlanta. We do a number of different things, all related to assisting people who are in the criminal justice system, and also working to change laws and regulations that impose barriers for people when they are released from prison or if they have a criminal history. So we do that through representing people, policy change, and education and outreach. We do a number of things, though. The program that brings us to Glynn County is our criminal records program. We represent and consult with about 2,000 people a year around the state on their criminal record. And we had started speaking to Jazz and Commissioner Booker a number of months ago about the possibility of bringing a second chance desk to Glynn County. We have been looking for ways to get outside of Atlanta. We've been doing a number of events around the state for the last few years, some of which of course have been put on hold because of the pandemic. But we were the drafters and primary advocates behind a change in the law that went into effect in the beginning of 2021 that really opened up what rehabilitated individuals could get off of their record. And so we've been looking for ways to amplify the impact of our work. And one of our strategies for doing that is opening second chance desks around the state. We opened the first one in Cobb County last year. It's been a partnership with a number of Cobb County partners, including the district attorney, the solicitor's office, and the judges up in Cobb County. It's been a tremendous effort. We've been able to create a streamlined process for people to be able to clear their record if they meet the criteria under Georgia law. In the last year, we've been able to help about 425 individuals clean up over 700 records that were eligible for expungement on their record. And of course, the reason we do that is because we know the record can impose so many barriers to employment and housing and going to school, virtually every area of your life. So we started talking to Jazz and Commissioner Booker about that, and a number of community partners. And one thing we decided is, hey, maybe folks aren't ready to think about a desk right now. So why don't we do an event and see if there is actually need and interest in second chance services in Glynn County. And that's how we started planning the October 1st event. And I will turn it over to Tiffany to let her tell you about how that's turned out.
Thanks, Brenda. Good morning, everyone. We have had a tremendous amount of individuals apply to our services for the Glynn County Second Chance event. This actually exceeded event capacity. It was originally was open to 100 people to pre-register for the event. We are actually at 150. And so the Georgia Justice Project will be processing over the next 2 weeks over 150 applications and preparing pro se petitions for that event, and also training volunteer attorneys to help on the day of the event. And so I think it's very clear from the overwhelming amount of individuals that have signed up and that continue to contact us every single day asking for more information about record clearing and how they can access this assistance that a desk or an expungement desk for regular expungement services would be very helpful and is of interest to the people of Glynn County. And so, as Jazz mentioned, the event is on October 1st. It's from 10 to 2. It's at Rice Risley, and we look forward to meeting you all there. And we're excited to be bringing the service and help to Glynn County.
And one thing I want to add to what Tiffany said is that we only had registration open for a day and a half.
Yes, that is key.
Until we looked and saw that 150 people had registered already in that day. So We are excited, you're not asking for anything from the Housing Authority at this point in terms of a desk. We're happy for your partnership with this event coming up on October 1st. I just wanted to let you know a little bit about who we are and the event that's coming up.
And Commissioner Booker, did you want to add anything?
Well, I just wanted to say that this is a life-changing event for a number of people. And certainly, some of them may be residents of the housing community here. But you know, even I was a bit surprised. I'm still getting calls because a lot of people still didn't even know about the event because we had to close it so soon. And getting requests, but the need is great, and it's partly reason for us in our labor shortage here. A lot of folk are being prevented from certain positions, also from getting certain promotions as well. So the biggest thing for me is that as somebody who grew up in Andrew Terrace in Brooklyn Homes, that this is a great event, and again, it's life-changing. And I hope you all continue to support it as we move forward.
My question is, once you have this at Rise Risley on October 1st, are you interested in doing a continuing program partnership with housing every so often, or what does that look like? What is your idea of partnership with us with this program?
Yeah, I'm sure that Commissioner Booker could probably speak on this, but this is my understanding. What we like to see is an actual regular expungement desk. I think in Cobb, is it the first Friday of every month, or how many times a month, Brenda?
In Cobb, we're actually there weekly.
Okay.
Obviously, it's a lot closer to us than what Glynn County is, so you know, we would still need to work out the details and also train local volunteers to help when we can't be there. But the hope would be that we could do something at least quarterly that is a community-based event in partnership with the district attorney and the solicitor to help process these applications for folks.
Right, we've had several meetings, and the staff with Georgia Justice has been outstanding, but also locally working with the solicitor Maria Ruby and also DA Higgins and his staff, and putting this together because we couldn't do it without them. And hopefully the judges, Superior State will be on board as well. And Community First, which is a group of 20 black clergy that I've been working with since I've been on the commission the last 10 years. Pastor Dickerson is one of our members and leaders. And we're looking at opening a justice center at Rise Risley to deal with complaints from law enforcement to education, but also to house the second chance desk on an ongoing basis. So we have a permanent space for it. It's just about working out the logistics of it going forward.
And I just want to add too that, you know, I feel fortunate because in my time at Georgia Heirs and doing legal work, you know, I got the chance to see what this does. And, you know, when you see someone who has had something on their record, or, you know, they made mistakes or whatever it was from 20 years ago, and they've been underemployed for 20 years, or they're bouncing from job to job because they're in fear of how this, you know, may affect them, or they're in a job and they can't want to get a promotion, you know, because policies have, you know, changed, and they're afraid that whatever that may be, you know, whether it's a misdemeanor or a nonviolent felony or whatever it is, might impede them, you know, or might restrict them. And I see this as life-changing because we're talking about, you know, uplifting thousands of people. I mean, if this was open for a day and a half and people still largely haven't heard about it, and we got to 150 people, that says right there what the need is. And my hope is, and we have a flyer where people can, you know, scan a QR code, which get to you. And they can put in their name, their, email and their phone. And we wanna compile that list too, so that when we, go to like, the judges and the solicitor, DA and all of them, the county and the city, and we say, look, we got 1,000 people here who need this. So we wanna maintain this relationship, and I don't know when we would do the next one, but I'm sure that, we'll make plans for it. And I didn't know if Commissioner Sorrells wanted to say anything, since she's also with ABG and a part of this as well.
Yeah, I just appreciate the leadership, particularly from your coordination of this work, Jazz, and Commissioner Booker, certainly with the vision of the Justice Center. I think we've been talking about this for 2 years now, so it's a beautiful thing to see. And to connect this to the Housing Authority, and particularly our residents, I would say, I'm always mindful of how Black and brown people in particular are criminalized. And so the fact that we need this, and the fact that we have this overwhelming response, in some ways kind of connects to the conversation that we had earlier about how do we provide security and safety, but also don't put people in positions where they end up with criminal charges that impede them from the outcomes that we have, and that is for them to have housing and employment, and be self-sufficient, if you will. So the other pieces of this is, like Jazz mentioned, this is the start, and as Commissioner Booker stated, hopefully this will happen more frequently in the past, but I think there's also more work around sort of this record expungement piece, and then we're also looking at some point, we have a large population of people that are on probation and parole. They have outstanding fees and fines that prevent them from having permanent housing because they are paying fines for parole and probation that extends their children's lifetimes. So we have to be mindful of how we support our communities, but that we don't contribute to the overcriminalization of our residents. So thank you all, and thank you again, Commissioner Booker, for your leadership, Jazz, for your leadership, and certainly the Georgia Justice Project. We couldn't do this without you.
And just one more thing too, I want to acknowledge Miss Anita Collins, who is in the room, and she has also been a part of this group. And of course, you all know her from the MPA, but the other connection I have with her is Bike Ride Across Georgia through a gentleman named Atiba Imbawan, who's the executive director of the Zeiss Foundation. And, and this ties all into that. We're talking about our youth too, so this directly affects them. So I just wanted to acknowledge Ms. Collins too.
Director Baker, I have a question. I know you've spoken to me a couple of times about the Second Chance Employment Program that you're still working on here at the Housing Authority. Could this potentially be a useful tool for those non-violent felons that you are potentially looking to hire under the Second Chance Program that you would like to implement?
Yeah, well, now would it enhance that, but also would increase the financial aid for adults or individuals that we're moving into the higher education program. So right now, that the rule stands that as long as you've been committed a felony on a higher education location, or college or university, but if that's not there in the beginning, we got other grants and scholarships that we can go after beyond just your standard state grants and federal grants that are there. But yeah, this is a weapon. I wish we had the space to house them.
I think space is a valuable commodity here at the Housing Authority right now. Yeah, I agree.
I heard about this program when it first came out, and I called to see if it was in Boston, Georgia, and I'm so overwhelmed that it
Thanks
is.
to Jazz.
Yes, that it is here, and we do need this, and yeah, uplifting uplifting the residents and moving them in positive ways is what we're here to do.
Absolutely. Jazz, you and I have had many conversations about this, and I'm happy to see you here. I'm happy to see, I don't know everyone's name.
Brenda and Tiffany, and Brenda's a legal director, and Tiffany's a staff attorney, and she's been handling a lot of the logistics of the meetings and things like that.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all.
So I'm gonna recommend again, same thing. You give the staff, you and Commissioner Booker. I don't know how all the players give the staff and see if we can't strengthen or develop a partnership and see how we can utilize this program not only for our residents but our future employees as well.
What does the funding look like for this program?
Well, locally, we don't really have any funding other than some small funding that Community First has to support the seating of the Justice Center, but we will do support going forward. For at least a staff person to help out, and to help coordinate. We can talk about that as we think.
And I'll just say from the Georgia Justice Project perspective, we have a number of foundations that have invested in, because they want us to be able to bring record clearing services to underserved parts of the state. And so Georgia Power Foundation has been our major donor in this and partner, and also Indeed, and they are supporting us in any way that they can to open a couple more second chance desks around the state.
Yeah, this would be the second one if we can implement everything. It would be the second one in the state.
Awesome.
So when you say implement, what's left to be done?
It's just logistics, and a lot of it is coordinating with the court system.
Yes, sir.
It's a legal process.
Yes, sir.
And then, of course, us, we haven't set up the Justice Center yet because of renovations at Grizzly, but we're in the process of doing a soft opening and then getting everything from there.
I have one final question. Can we volunteer Mr. Hartman? I know he's an attorney.
Sure.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, they'll be doing, there's gonna be a training, I don't know exactly when, but for attorneys. Because we're gonna need volunteer attorneys, and that's the power of this too, is that those people will get to sit down with an attorney, and look at their records and have a conversation, because a lot of people don't even understand, everything legally that has happened to them, or that, they gotten involved in. So I don't know if that date has been set, but we can just kind of.
Glad to help or help with the local bar.
I love that. I love that.
But
I love that.
yes,
Because a lot
it's
of
awesome.
a lot of our individuals that have been arrested, they was either forced to plead guilty,
Right.
or whatever was done. So I really love that. So they don't know exactly what happened to them, all the charges and everything.
So I know they're coordinating with Elliot Gioli, so Georgia Legal Services is involved too. And I guess as soon as we know that, we can just get that information out, for folks that are attorneys, because we're gonna need some local volunteers. They're gonna bring attorneys too, but some are gonna come from Georgia Legal Services, but we're also gonna need volunteer attorneys, and they'll just have to go through a training,
Yes, and Jess is right. We have a training that's scheduled for September 28th. It's a virtual training, and so I can send a flyer with that information out. But I think Elliot has also sent it through the bar organization and the Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. And so we would welcome as much help as possible. And if you'd like that link, like I said, we'll send a flyer for volunteer information and also a flyer to gather contact information for those who want to receive information on future Glenn record clearing events.
Excellent. Any other questions for Jazz or Mr. Watts and the expungement program?
Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
All right. So again, I encourage you guys get with staff, Director Baker, and see what we can do to assist and support and these efforts moving forward for this program. It's a great, awesome program, and I appreciate you guys coming out to speak with us
Well, and I'd just like to add one thing, like, I'll send out email the flyer that we have that has like the QR code where people, you know, they can scan it and they can put in their information, you know, if they have interest or they think they need the service. And I think what would be great is if, you know, you all can somehow coordinate pushing that out through all the communities, you know, so that everyone can kind of be aware of it. And then I know that also Commissioner Sorrells, I know that with ABG they were talking about, which ties directly to this, is doing something regarding, you know, parole and probation, which also would tie right back to Georgia justice too. But if there was a way to do that.
Okay, this is what we would do. I'm going to actually email that flyer to Ms. Curry as well as Ms. Cooper and Mr. Cooper and our inspector, so we'll get those emails to you. Ms. Cooper is going to distribute it through our housing department, get them to the site manager, so we can make sure we get that out immediately. Mr. Cooper asked me to walk through the community, and in myself, I make sure I have a couple as I walk through, and I make sure the staff have plenty of forms that we walk through, because I challenge and charge each one of our, especially men, to walk through these communities, and we can pass them out and talk to these young men, and we're going to help you. So, so we will be responsible to make sure that gets out to our community, and as Mr. Maya, we'll make sure it's get to our Section 8. I think that the next one, if y'all have another suggestion.
No, I think, Baker, that's an excellent one.
Ms. Curry, will you say what you just told us?
So the flyer that we did receive will be in the newsletter to go out.
Right.
And the
So,
website.
so
Yes.
that was the original one,
Okay.
but we have a different one that has the link for folks and the QR code.
Because it's different, because we're not accepting applications. Right, so it's a little different.
Just for the October 1st event, but then there's another one that can scan and they can, you know, put in their information, and that would be for, you know, following events that we could do.
So we'll make sure that, but the new flyer will go out as well, passing it out, but it's gonna go out in the newsletter to the residents as well.
And the website.
Yeah, we can.
And the website, yes.
Yeah, we can get, some of these attorneys like Ian and others to
I'm
get
not an
trained up.
attorney, but I play one on TV.
I think we can start helping a lot more soon.
Well, they can commit to get us a dance a month down here, then we welcome that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you, Mr. Baker. Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Vice Chair.
I have a question. Is there any specific minimum requirements that a person who has a felony, do they have to have a felony for a certain amount of time to be in this program, or?
I think they just fill out, and they'll evaluate that once they get the information. So,
I think
yeah.
Brenda can.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so there are a number of different laws that might be able to help somebody that has a felony, something called retroactive first offender, and another law that helps trafficking survivors, and then there's expungement of felony convictions. And if that's the category somebody falls in, then it does have to wait until 5 years after they've completed their sentence. But there are a number of options, and one of the things that we've talked about doing, because we filled up so quickly, is doing like a town hall and just sort of roughly explaining to folks what the law covers, and you know what they can expect going forward.
I have one other question that we're running into as we try to bring in a lot of our potential employees. Do y'all have a program that can help reinstate driving license?
That's a good question. Actually, there was a bill that I believe was just passed, but Brenda, you can speak to that. Did you hear the question?
I did not hear the question, I'm sorry.
He said a program regarding reinstatement of driver's licenses.
Oh, yeah, so we worked this last legislative session to pass a law to reduce driver's license suspensions and give judges some discretion when somebody misses court to not suspend their license if they later show up and do what they're supposed to. So we've been working with partners around the state with BDS and municipal court judges to get the word out about that. And we have talked, we don't have the resources to do it right now, but we've talked about creating some sort of driver's license clinic in the future where we could help people understand why their license is suspended and what they need to do to reinstate it.
Are you all willing to come and set that up here? I mean,
Speak up a little bit.
Are you all willing to come and set that up here? We'll make sure that individuals are driver's license challenged or we'll just do
Yeah, we can, with the Justice Center, we can help facilitate all of those kind of activities.
Commissioner, have you experienced the same that we experienced?
Yes,
The driver's
definitely.
license?
As a matter of fact, the young man is with my church now. He came in to help with this. I'm on the board for a reentry group home.
Yes, sir.
And you know, he's I'll just say he's past 30 and had actually never had a driver's license. But he was able to go through the process and get it. He didn't have anything really, I think, that was holding his up. I think he just needed to go through the process. But I know what you're saying. I run across it before.
Yes, sir.
Doing job training
Yes, sir.
programs and things. So, yeah, we certainly can get. I'll get with you on that.
Thank you, sir.
I think that would be pretty popular too. But that
I think
sounds
so.
like a one-day sign-up thing.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any other questions for the expungement desk?
Do you mind sending the link for the virtual training for the lawyers?
Yeah, so, either Brenda or Tiffany can make sure to send that to, I think Christina as well.
Yeah, if she gets it, she'll get it to me.
Yeah, and we'll get it out. And anybody, any other attorneys that you might know would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. I think that's going to be a wonderful program. And again, if we can set up the additional stuff with the driver's licenses, I think that'll be a whopper for this community. And I'm saying the community as a whole, not just public housing, but the entire Brunswick, Glenn County community. I'm imagining there are a number of residents within Glenn County that can, and if it's, I don't know how far outside of Glenn County you go, if it's a regional thing, that can definitely, that can help.
Of course, we're targeting Glenn County and City of Brunswick.
Absolutely.
But we're not going to turn it down.
Absolutely. All right, thank you so much. Now we're going to go ahead and move into old business. Commissioners, do you guys want to take these one by one, or do you want to do them all at once? How do you want to do it? It's your pleasure. You want to take them one by one, or do you want to just group them together for approval or not? So we have our approval of minutes from the special call on July 19, regular on August 10, special call on August 18, special call on August 19, and special call on September 6. Again, you want to group them together, or do you want to do them one by one? And I will entertain any such motion at this point.
However you see fit.
Can't do a motion.
I mean, you can speak about how we're gonna do it individually or all together.
Yes.
Okay.
I will entertain a motion. I will entertain a motion to lump them all together in one.
I can entertain a motion that we group them all together for approval or
Approvals?
for approval.
Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion to lump them all together in one.
I have a motion by Commissioner Dickerson, seconded by Commissioner Sorrells to approve, accept and adopt and approve all the minutes that we have referred to on our agenda. As one, are there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, have the same. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on, approval of the August 2022 financial reports. Ms. Dyer, I believe that is
That is me.
you.
Yeah, in your package, you have the financials for July and August, which is 60 days, as we referred to earlier today. So I just wanted to, and what this is the cost statement for the cost statement for the central office, and then the income statements for the other programs. And I'll take any questions, that's fine. I just wanted to bring a few things to your attention. Because this begins our new fiscal year, and as we all know, everything has been in flux and has been changing, we anticipate a budget revision at some point in the not too distant future. So that will be coming. So some of your budget to actuals might look a little bit different. Also, in general, through the first 2 months, a lot of expenses are lower than normal, especially maintenance expenses for repairs and vacancy prep and that type of thing. But that is about to change dramatically. So those expenses will be increasing. And because we have moved quite a few people around and have created some new positions, and HR has been writing job descriptions 24 hours a day for the past, I don't know how many days, to get things, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on right now, and people have moved into different areas, whereas for my purpose, their salaries are charged to different departments. All of that is not reflected in our payroll system yet as to where their salaries get charged, so there will be some shifting between programs, or however it plays out as how they move. So what I'm trying to say in general is this is a work in progress even through August, just because the budget will need to change and because we are doing so much as far as staff.
Any questions for Ms. Dyer about the August 2022 financial reports?
Oh, and I did want to bring up one other thing.
Yes,
Sorry.
ma'am.
Under Georgia HAP, which is a non-federal program, I have created a new category. It's called Transition Consulting. And that's where I am trying to capture all the costs that are related to that. So when you see that, that's not an expense that we've had in the past, obviously. And so I'm just trying to track everything, and it's through that program. So you might see, whereas before we had, the administrative costs in the central office might be lower than they were last year at this time. It's just because a lot of that function is now being taken care of in another area.
Okay, thank you for tracking that. I appreciate it. Does anyone have any questions about the August 2022 financial reports? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the August 2022 financial reports.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the July through August, July 1st through August 31st report.
Got a motion by Commissioner Dickerson to approve the, what did you say, July and August? Okay, it just says August.
Yes,
It
it is.
is
It's
July and
year-to-date.
August, that's right. So July and August 2022 financial reports. Do we have a second? Got a second by Commissioner Dobson, who is still via the phone with us. So, motion by Commissioner Dickerson, seconded by Commissioner Dobson. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, have the same. That motion passes unanimously. Moving on into executive director's items or new business. Again, number one, approval for William Baker to become executive director. That's been scratched from the agenda. Take it away, Mr. Baker.
We are proposing to write off $23,000, $540.27. And rent charges, monthly service charges, late fees, and miscellaneous. These fees are tied into what we believe shouldn't be charged to our residents, and so we're requesting that these fees be written off to the amount of $25,000.
I think you need to himself.
You need one of them jars. You
Oh, I'm
need one of
sorry.
them jars when people's
No,
phone
I'm
goes
sorry,
off.
these
it
are,
goes into the
these are
pot.
move-out fees, I'm sorry, these are
Yeah, these
residents
are-
that left
these
their
are-
balance.
yeah.
I apologize, that's another, that's for next month. But we are addressing that as well. It's 25,000? Okay, July and August for 20? Okay, July and August have been classified as uncollectible, and we want to, we'll recommend them to write that off. But what I do want to say in that we still need to be mindful, board, that we, just cause they're uncollectible, right now we're still in the transition period, and I haven't been able to identify what's measurable as why they moved out and why the reason they left. So we don't need to handicap this and tag their credit report.
So, I still see,
Well, we were working through that, okay.
I still see $5 charges, and this was supposed to be removed since January. And so, are we still going through, they're still in here. The $5 charges.
If there are items on there that are for things that were removed, these are people who already had those charges on their accounts for those older periods, I do believe.
And then we asked that question a month or two ago, and we were told that these were the end of those people from January, so they're just still being added. These $5 are still being added, so why hasn't it come off yet?
We're working, these residents left with this, and so, moving forward, I don't think it should be any $5 late fees.
We've been talking about this since for
Yeah,
quite a while.
these are rent, so there is even, if I'm late, I pay a late fee, but,
Can we have a month on these, because you changed the format of how these were given to us previously,
okay, how would you like it?
how it was previously. You had a listing of, and all they show is late fee charges. They were miscellaneous fees that they were then charging. All of these are $5 fees and a negative rent processing.
Okay, page one, we got legal charge, maintenance charge, and we move down, we don't get to the late fees. We got a couple late fees here, on page one.
We were supposed, what month is this here we have in our hand? Cause the month is not on here. This is for,
This is July and August, we did an aggregate, we combined both months.
well, it doesn't say that.
Okay, we'll make that correction for the next, we'll make sure.
And we need to know, yeah, because, and I remember seeing Alicia, one of these names on here on a previous write-out form. Looks like a duplicate. Yeah, Cause the only thing we were supposed to keep was the $50 late fee, but minus the $5 each day after.
They can look in the system and see when that late fee was put on there, if it is indeed one that was past the date of whenever, or if it was put on before what.
Excuse me. So as far as Elite works and when it processes the $5 late rent payments, if an account still shows $5, that was a late fee that was applied before it was changed in Elite to automatically put it on it. So I would say you would need to see when that resident, how long that resident was here, living here before they moved out.
Okay, so.
Because if they were living here, if they moved in July of last year, they could still have, because the ledgers, when they move out, the ledger is their entire history as a resident. So the rule just changed in January to eliminate the $5 a day fee. It's just a one-time $50 late charge.
No, it's a one-time, no.
You get a $50 late fee.
Right.
After the 6th.
Right.
And then after that, so I think the middle of the month is when the warrant fee goes on to it. So if someone was living here in July of last year, they could still have $5 charged on their account, but it shouldn't be one past January of this year.
So my understanding is if we eliminated the $5, can't you go into the system of charges for the residents and eliminate that out of there so we won't keep generating on this thing, on this
But
paper?
these are late fees that they incurred prior to January.
Right.
Well,
That's what they're saying.
So until December, but see, listen, we getting two different things. A couple of months ago, you said we wouldn't see anymore after a certain period, because these were the people that were prior to January. And now this person moved in, but we don't have a move, he moved out in June, but we don't have a move in date to understand why he's still being charged $5.
The date that's being reflected on their write-off report, Ms. Bailey, is when the move-out was processed, not necessarily.
Okay, but he said that we have to go by when he actually moved in to see if it was prior to January.
If you look in the system under the person, you can easily see when that late fee was added and what the date that it was added for. It just doesn't show up on that printout that you have in your packet.
All right. Yeah, cause this has changed and it looks like it's harder to understand than what it was under the previous administration. Previous administration was easier to read.
Any other questions for staff on the accounts receivables for July and August?
And the question is, when you get these $5 late fees, where does that go? Where do those fees go, those $5 late fees?
Other income and under, rent, other rental income, it's income.
Okay.
A question just in general about the fees.
Yes, ma'am.
And as it relates to, and this might be directed, this is directed to, Director Baker and, Mr. Brooks. Are we looking at policies, and practices around the collection of fees, in general? So I saw some fees related to, dirty stoves and ovens, for example. That residents have complained in the past about fees related to, trash, just various fees that are impeding people, financially. So I'm just curious, is there been any assessment or are you planning to assess the collection of fees in general to include, what, Commissioner Bailey was speaking to?
Go ahead.
Don't have a problem doing it that specific way. We were dividing it up based upon sections. And the second half of that question inherently is, what is your change policy? Because that has to be in effect in order to make sure that it's ACOP in terms of how you change. In other words, whatever policies you want to change, even if it's unrelated to these fees things, you have to have something that says this is the change policy when we're doing it. So that's part of what's being done at the same time. Does that answer the question, Commissioner?
It does, thank you, and I think just in general, there is I have a concern about whether, the amount of fees that we're collecting from tenants, are, in some ways, unfair is not the right word, but just impeding them from moving forward. Is some of these fees justifiable? Are we using fees to increase revenue? Are we using fees to be punitive? Just trying to get a general idea. And this is not just about the late rent fees. I know late rent is a tenant policy, and that's pretty standard. But just in general, just wondering if staff has any thoughts around that, or if you all have are hearing anything from residents regarding
the charges on
various
tenants'
related to
accounts.
these fees.
The charges on tenants' accounts for, let's say, a stove or a door or a window or whatever would only be put on their account if they damaged or broke what they're being charged for. Normal wear and tear is not covered. This is for tenant. Any charge for a thing like that is for tenant caused damage.
Okay, so good example. On this first page, it says maintenance charge, trash can overflow, $50. Why are they being charged $50 for a trash can being overflowed? I mean, if they have rent that's $50 and they didn't pay their rent because they're on here or whatever reason, that's $50 that's gonna hardship them in some kind of way. But why is that fee so high for a trash can overflow?
I think those trash fees were first put on there because residents weren't taking their for residents who weren't taking their cans out to the street or were having them overflowed where the Republic Services or whoever would not pick up the trash. And it was causing us to use our maintenance guys to go around and put the trash cans back where they belong or put the trash back, because sometimes it's not overflowing, it's on the ground, and to have them put the trash back into the cans to drag it back to the building. So it was causing extra work on the maintenance staff, and I guess that's how they decided to address it.
Well, and then this one here says trash can left on the curb, $35. I mean, some of these.
Yeah, we need to look at these.
Yeah.
Some of these fees are keeping people in the exact situation they're in. And I understand the sensitivity around trying to make the community, trying to hold people accountable and responsible.
Right.
As they would be in any property. But I do have a concern to the Commissioner Bailey's statement around the amount, the charge of the fee. I have some serious concerns around those things.
Can I suggest some, Commissioner Bailey can I suggest something to the Commissioner? If we can get, some fee changes that you all would like to see, and let us come back with a more informed measurements of these fees and justification, or removal of them. That would help us tremendously, because some of these, I understand the financial hardship that these fees can put someone in. So if we can, Commissioner Sherrill, if any commission want to make a recommendation to us immediately, today, let us start looking into that, Charles, and then let's get with Attorney Hartman and see what we'll suggest the policies and then go from there. But we do need your guidance on that. But I am concerned about the amount of trash that's throughout the community. And this curb appeal is, no matter how we improve the inside, it's the outside, it look like, it doesn't look appealing, then it also don't help us as well.
The board normally approves the charge sheet once a year.
Okay, so this is the time that they know that. But we do need to look into changing some of these policies, I would say that.
I have two questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we do have a book there is a thing, pamphlet or a booklet, whatever you wanna say, that has the different charges that we can prepare by. But I need to ask this question. This maintenance charge for illegal dumping is $1,650. What is the illegal dumping and why for that amount of fee? It's on page, it's on Alicia Howard, the last one. It's on page 3, the first.
So, when she moved out, she set her whole unit on the side of the curb. Moved everything to the curb. So she was charged $75 per item, because it wasn't a day of dumping.
What
So
were the
that's why her
items?
charge.
Furniture, what was the items? Furniture?
It was the entire unit.
Okay. Beds, kitchen, sofa, living room?
Yes.
Mhm. Okay.
These fees do prevent these individuals from getting into housing again, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, because it goes on their credit report.
So, so I think this also sort of informs what services or what other, things need to be in place, right? Because if, I'm gonna assume that if she didn't have money to get the items moved, then she certainly doesn't have money to pay for the dumping, right? And so what does that look like in the process? And I don't know if she was evicted or what the situation is, but what is the process for moving folks out, and what services, what partnerships do we have with, companies that might can offer reduced rates, related to moving and things like that? I'm not suggesting that we have a formal conversation about that, just using that as an example of how do we use this information that we have to inform what services we put in place, so it's prevented, because what we don't want is to keep someone and their family from ever needing housing again for $2,000.
Right.
Because that's what we call it homelessness, if they can't get anywhere else. It's like a cycle. So can I have those papers that show, in order for us to look at these fees, I need those papers that shows how much a doorknob is, how much a stove is.
Maintenance costs,
Yeah,
yeah, we should have no problem with that. That's, I get with, Ms. Ogden when she get back and see if we can get that cost. But I do agree with Commissioner Sherrill. Commissioner Sherrill, I think that, we need to kind of look and see if those type services exist. If not, we need to see, through resident service, maybe we can kind of coordinate, when people in a hardship situation, not put them in a more difficult situation, and maybe, some of my ground, people and things, and they can maybe help them. I mean, we just have to look into it. I do agree with you.
Right.
I do agree.
And the thing is, what we have to really tackle is find out why they left. If y'all didn't know this person was leaving and she dumped her stuff out, did she do it because of things in her apartment that wasn't getting fixed? Was she fed up with the repairs not getting done? We have to find out. And because you do an exit, if you can get a hold of these people and find out why they did what they did and interview Vincent.
Yes, ma'am.
Any further questions about the July and August write-off of tenants accounts receivables? I will entertain a motion to approve the write-off of the tenants accounts receivable or to disapprove. I just need a motion. Anyone?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the write-offs for July and August.
I got a motion by Commissioner Dickerson to approve the write-offs of tenants account receivable for July and August. Do we have a second? We have a second by Commissioner Dobson. Do we have any other discussion for the approval of the write-offs of tenants accounts receivable for July and August? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, have the same? That motion passes unanimously. Next, we move on to added number item 4, which is resident commissioner stipend. I did see the email on there where we sent out for the regulations. I know there had been much discussion leading up, including previous administration. Resident service stipend for resident commissioners as it pertains to 24 Code of Federal Regulations 5.609 C8 Roman numeral 4. States that the resident commissioner is eligible to receive a stipend for his or her service on the governing board of the housing authority. We've had some discussion about it. I believe, Mr. Arvin, you were involved in some of our other previous discussions about it, and there was a little bit of a gray area on it. I think we got all of that pretty much hashed out for if the board were to vote for it. So, commissioners, I'm interested in what you have to say and discussion on this topic.
Long overdue. I agree.
Okay, long overdue.
I agree.
Agree. Okay. I was actually a discussion. Okay, so I believe that due to the fact that it is specifically for Commissioner Dobson, our resident commissioner, he would be recused from the vote. He can't vote for himself on this particular matter, I believe. So, other than that, I will entertain a motion.
A motion to approve.
A second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sorrells, seconded by Madam Vice Chair Bailey to approve the resident commissioner's service stipend for our resident commissioner serving on the Public Housing Governing Board or the Board of Commissioners. Do we have any further discussion?
He has to work for it now.
You got to work for it now.
But can I ask, can I mention to Commissioner Dobson, since he is our resident commissioner, I would like him to attend the resident meetings that are monthly by Ms. Rutland. Come back and give us a report, because he just shows up. You just show up and you don't say anything. You just listen to what's going on and give us a report of how the meetings are going and a synopsis of what they discussed. And anything that has to do with residents, for him to be on board to attend.
Okay, do we have any further discussion?
Is he going to Savannah?
I am uncertain.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, have the same. That motion passes unanimously. Moving on, item number 5 is our HUD VASH. Madam Vice Chair Bailey, you said you had some information for us
Yes.
on this.
Yes.
Is this, I'm sorry, go ahead.
We received 5 HUD vouchers. A couple of meetings ago, it was said we only used 1 so far. Have we issued any other HUD vouchers since then? We still have 4 left? Okay.
We have 6, but we
got 5.
Is it 5 or 6?
We got 5.
We use 4. We only have 1 left.
Okay, so can we have,
You know, have one that's getting ready to move. I just completed.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you speak up just a little bit?
Oh, no, I was asked, did they all move in? We only have one that is right now getting ready to move into a unit. The other three are still looking.
so, let me ask you this, the HUD advanced vouchers, they're for section 8, right?
Correct.
So, okay, they get ready to move to Prop Law.
Yes.
So, can I get can we have those names?
No.
Well, not names, but how many, so we use 4, so we got one now.
Yes.
Okay.
We've issued out 4.
And I need to know that update. Going forward, we need to put, are you a veteran on the application? We need that done as soon as possible. It is not anywhere on these applications. No, I just talked to Mr. Grant, who makes up the applications for the residencies? We're not talking about applying, we just wanna know how many. We just wanna know how many, he needs to know 2 questions so we can get vouchers next year. He needs to know as soon as possible how many veterans we have in public housing. I asked that before. And we need to add, are you a veteran on the applications? There is no line on there or the website for them to check off to say, are they a veteran?
For
Yes or no?
informational purposes, so that you
Yes.
can look, search
Yes.
for it.
And then, so if they know that, yes. And I don't know any application in 2022 that does not have that question on there. So are you a veteran, yes or no? You know, and then we go from there, because we need a count.
Any other concerns or
Mr.
questions?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I have to give that number to Mr. Grant, because I am the HUD VAS subcommittee person. So I need to get that number to him as soon as possible, how many we have in public housing, and for that question to be on the application.
Only how many we have in public housing, we just looking at same nutrition. We don't have that in our program anywhere. There's an IT.
No, we did not, but we actually took count of all of our veterans about 2.5 to 3 months ago when I was the site manager. We surveyed all of our residents to see who all was veterans, and Miss Jamie House should have the results from that, 'cause that's who it was sent to.
From each community? Okay, I need that. And that's good that we only have one HUD VAS. Now, are those vouchers used for people that were coming into Brunswick, or they're people in Brunswick? Because I have a gentleman that's been homeless for 7 years that's a veteran. Because I meet them at the senior care center monthly.
Are you inquiring on the VAS vouchers?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know if we'll have that information. Again, that's processed through, ask Joe Grant, how he gets those people, because they have to process
No,
through
I'm not
the
talking about,
VA.
I'm not talking about the process. I'm just saying,
You're asking if,
Yeah.
you're asking if the people came from Brunswick or they processed
did they come from
outside of
out of
Brunswick.
state, or were they in state?
Right, and again, Joe Grant would have that information.
But if they did a HUD VAS, if they have 40,
It's just a recommend, the program is set up through Joe Grant, or I should say the VA. But the selection of the recipient, the voucher recipient, all goes through the VA. We're just essentially administering
so let me ask
here
you
in
this.
Brunswick.
Let me ask you this. When you had those 5 vouchers, how did you get the information that those vouchers got used?
The VA in Dublin contacted us and said they have, sir? Yeah, the applicants. That, cause we had
I'm trying to find out the protocol.
They have to go through the Dublin
Right, I understand
GA
that.
office and then they contact us.
Because we get ready to get a person locally to the outpatient clinic around September 26th. They just hired somebody. So what I want to know is what's the process after they get filtered in, they call you and let you know, and then you give that person that voucher and they go look for a home?
We do the briefing. Once we get contacted from Dublin, we get all their information. We'll conduct the briefing and then they'll start looking.
Okay. That's good that we only have one left. That's excellent. That's excellent. But I need that on the application, that question, and I need those numbers.
Are we talking about adding, veteran status as a preference when it comes to our applications?
No, just
You know how any application you fill out, whether it's a job and it says, are you a veteran, yes or no? That's all we need. Because there are certain things that I can give them privy to of the benefits and what they can look forward to. They don't know everything that they can get. And so, yeah, I need to know how many we are serving in public house. That's what you need, yeah.
Attorney Harmon, is that simple for, that's a process that goes to the ad that question, correct?
On the application,
Or can you just add this?
I don't know that I've ever looked into changing our application, but, find out. I don't know the answer to that.
But we, since we did, we will add that question. Thank you.
Any other discussion on the HUD badge? Do we have reports of any committees?
I have some questions. I have a question. The organizational chart. I think that every meeting, until we get permanent staffing, and we know permanently where everybody's gonna be seated, I think we need a draft of what that organizational chart looks like. Where somebody is, and add it into our binder until we get, so do you have any tentative date? Right now of when that organizational chart will be complete, or is it still being?
We're hoping to have it ready by the next year, within the next week or two, but as soon as we have it ready, Ms. Daly, most definitely have it ready before the next meeting, if we have it ready. I do wanna have it ready this week before, but y'all may have some other suggestions and things of that nature. But as soon as we get it ready, I'll make sure I email, the chairman and the full commissioners so they can come in and let's sit down. And then we have emergency meeting discuss it. I need to let you all know what's about to happen.
Yeah, just a draft of where we at now.
Yes.
That's all I know. Just a draft of where we at now. And I'd like to see that verbally of where everybody is placed and seated. The other thing is, it wasn't on this agenda. What is the update about the Boys and Girls Club?
No,
Oh,
no.
No,
No discussion
no.
here, no discussion. I can fill you in after, but no discussion.
I just,
I know.
what you know? What do you know?
I can fill you in after. Fill you in after.
Okay.
All right, any other commissioners'
I don't have no
items?
questions.
We have real estate and personnel and security for executive session, which is going to be a while. So, there is a need for executive session? Yes? I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
Got a motion by Commissioner Dickerson to move into executive session. Do I have a second? I I need a second to go into executive session, doesn't matter who it is, I just need someone.
Sheila, I second it.
Got a motion by Commissioner Dickerson, seconded by Madam Vice Chair Bailey to move into executive session. Do you have any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed have the same. Motion passes unanimously. We are moving into executive session to discuss real estate, personnel, and we'll now return back to our regular meeting. There are 2 points here, whether we are adjourning from this meeting. Also, we need to have our May Gordon Armstrong meeting. So, commissioners, what is your pleasure?
A motion that we adjourn from this meeting. Pick it up.
I got a motion to adjourn our regular scheduled Brunswick House Authority Board meeting. Do I have a second?
Because I know we need to do this Gordon Armstrong.
No, we still have to adjourn from that.
Oh, okay, we'll adjourn.
Got a motion by Madam Vice Chair Bailey to adjourn our regular Brunswick Housing Authority meeting, seconded by Commissioner Dickerson. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those have the same. That motion passes unanimously. Commissioners, what are your pleasures for the Gordon Armstrong meeting?
I have to leave. It's going up 2 o'clock. I cannot be here any longer. I gotta go.
I will need a motion to figure out what you guys want to do with Gordon Armstrong. If you want to table it till next month or call a special session, but either way, we still need to have that meeting.
You can table it, defer it
It needs to be
until
a
next
motion.
month. I motion that we defer Gordon Armstrong until our October meeting.
Got a motion by Madam Vice Chair Bailey to defer the Gordon Armstrong meeting until our October meeting. Do we have a second? Seconded by Commissioner Dickerson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same. Nay. That motion passes 2-1. I need a motion to adjourn the Gordon Armstrong meeting.
I motion
It's
that we
pers-
adjourn the Gordon Armstrong meeting.
Got a motion to adjourn the Gordon Armstrong meeting. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion to adjourn the Gordon Armstrong meeting. Madam Vice Chair, seconded by Commissioner Dickerson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those have the same. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, thank you.
Commissioner, you have some IDs, except you would like to get that done?
Is it going out? So I won't have to walk down the hall or anything?